First down, Preston Stone pressured, gets rid of it to a wide open R.J. Maryland, still on his feet. Maryland to the house, touchdown.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
Hampton wide open running, 30, 25, 20, 10, 5, touchdown Carolina.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Spencer Rattler wants to launch a deep one, and it is caught! Juice Wells all the way, touchdown Gamecocks! 72 yards.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Jenkins up the middle, no one home for Auburn. House call, touchdown.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
This is going to be returnable for Cal. Out across the 20 and out into the open field. And all the way down the sideline. That's Odd. Jaden Odd, who's been returning kicks lately. Touchdown Cal.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Another carry for Damian Martinez. Cuts it back. Touchdown number 3.
Now here's David Smoke and Paul Catalina.
Here we go, 365 Sports. Good afternoon. It is a Thursday afternoon, and you know that we're a couple of weeks away from the college football season beginning. The 24th is that Florida State-Georgia Tech game. We'll get to that in a moment, but also high school football in Texas starts 3 weeks from tonight with 3 weeks from tonight. The first game's the first Thursday, Friday, and also Saturday. Paul Catalina is to my left. I'm David Smoke. In the studio today, the magicians of all, with Emery Winter, Jack McKenzie, Garrett Ross running the mothership with Rip City hat on.
Yeah, Paul the Trailblazers.
Yeah, the Blazers. Yeah. Was that with Jerome Kersey, Drexler?
I believe I heard they got the Rip City from, they had a big game. They lit it up from beyond the arc, and the person calling said it's Rip City tonight, and then they stuck with it.
Well, I remember the team that had Walton and Maurice Lucas squared up with Daryl Dawkins. That would have been in the late 70s, and I was a huge Dr. J fan, so that bothered me not much because I think Philadelphia won it the next year or two when they beat the Lakers. But, that was the team with Bill Walton, was Dave Twardzik, just a random name. But they won it all. And then they had that run with Drexler, Kersey, and a few others. I think Porter was the ball-headed guy that was the point guard. That was pretty good, too. All right, here is the list of the Davey O'Brien Award watch list. Now, there's 2 lists here. One, the Big 12 nominees, and then we'll get to ones that are notable names that are not a part of this list, with Beck, Daniels, Fafita, Finn, Garrett Green, KJ, the incoming transfer at UCF, and then Cam Rising and Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if anybody on that list, it was good to see Beck and also even DeQuan Finn, who's been on a couple of different lists. Garrett Green's getting some love. That's 8 of the 16 teams with at least the watch list that you can drop off and you could also be added to it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who I would put on. It's weird. DeQuan Finn hasn't even won the job yet, and he's on
that
the list.
We know of.
All those other guys are definitely the starter at their school. I'm trying to think of who's like Donovan Smith is a guy who could sneak onto the list if they do well. He's a guy getting some NFL buzz because of his build, but we got to see him not throw 1,000 interceptions first. Alan Bowman's not on the list, and I'm not surprised about that because he's not a stats monster.
Baron Morton?
Baron Morton's not on the list because he's not been healthy.
And a lot of this now, again, is what have you already put up. It's not like, for example, you can forecast somebody that should be a part of this list. And this is a list that's also for what have you done. Now, Cam Rising in the last year and a half, not much because of injuries, but everybody else on this list has put something up at some point, even if it was for 1 year. Even Beck, who played last year as the starter for a team that made a bowl game. So there we are. There's the notables list with names that are a lot of Heisman Trophy candidates. Carson Beck. There's Kyron Drones at Virginia Tech, former Baylor quarterback. Ewers, Gabriel. Those 3 out of 4, with all due respect to Kyron Drones, great guy, and I hope he has a great year, especially when they play Florida State. Do they play them this year? No, they don't. Those are 3 of the probably top-rated Heisman Trophy candidates with Beck, Ewers, and Gabriel. Seth Hennigan played high school ball in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Dad's a coach. Haynes King, our good friend from Longview, former A&M quarterback. There's SMU's Preston Stone, and another former Baylor quarterback. Oh, I screwed that up. Garrett.
He's at UAB.
Gosh,
just
dang it. That's my fault.
He
Jacob
was
Zeno
just on the show
from
a week
UAB.
ago.
Well, I mean, he transferred.
Yeah. So
he was so excited about being on 365 Sports. So Jacob Zeno, before everyone loses their mind, he's at UAB, and UAB, we apologize because they gave us the opportunity to talk to him. That's Garrett for not being a very good editor.
By the way, Kyron Drones, I feel, was confident in saying all the things he said about Florida State, knowing he wouldn't have to play them until the championship game.
God.
It's not bulletin board material until then.
No, it's not until you do have to play them. So remember yesterday, Will Howard, there was a quote about how he doesn't feel like he has to be Superman at Ohio State. Well, Avery Johnson had this quote about what's happening with their offense. And he goes, hey, we've looked really explosive at times. We've just been trying to get the ball to our playmakers. We have a lot of playmakers and a lot of people that can do special things with the ball in their hands. So it's my job to get it to them and let them go out there and do their thing.
Well, Avery Johnson is a special talent when it comes to that, and he could do, like, he gives me Johnny Manziel vibes a little bit of like the play's never over until
I don't think it'll be fun to see if he can do that. That's hard to compare somebody. He was a player that had the quickest twitch that I could remember at the quarterback position, other than maybe Michael Vick in a different type style. But I mean, Johnny Manziel was like he was being tased even when he was in control.
Yeah, it would. And Johnny Manziel's career was made so much better by the fact that he had Mike Evans to where they improv.
I'm trying to get this
together.
Yeah, no, Mike Evans bailed him out, but you know what? The good receivers do that. You got to just get it to him. If you have a big, tall receiver, physical like Mike Evans, get it in his area, and he's going to make plays. And not all the time, but he did quite a bit for him. And he's making great plays. He's been doing that for what now, a decade or more in the NFL. Dana Holgorsen, remember, joined Sonny Dykes and his staff as basically what we thought was an analyst. Here's Joseph Duarte when Holgorsen today, speaking to reporters in Fort Worth, asked about moving from being a head coach to an advisor role. A lot less stressful. No kidding. I'm not going to predict what the future is going to be. I don't know or care. And basically, he goes, I look better. I feel better. I'm in better shape physically. You could see the quotes from what he said. And then also, he was asked about his responsibilities. Now, remember when Dave Aranda told us when Gary Patterson was still a part of at least the program that he would not be a part of game day responsibilities, which now with the new rules of analysts that are allowed to do more, Holgorsen, I'm not going to have game day responsibilities. I'll do something I haven't done in 30-plus years. I'll tailgate. And believe me, he can. He will be fun to be around.
Can we go up to a TCU tailgate this year? Can we make that happen?
That would be fun.
Let's invite him down to ours, man. Holgo? Oh, let's do it, buddy. Let's go. Let's get it on camera and let's rock.
No, I think he'd be fun to hang around. Mm-hmm. By the way, Bobby B, DeQuan Finn hasn't even taken a game time snap yet, and he's a candidate. No, he played at Toledo and had a hell of a run.
He was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, no, it's not like he just showed up and hasn't played much, and that's why he's on the list. Again, it's about what you have done, some credentials you put up, or stats you put up, production you put up, and so I have no problem with DeQuan B. And if he was playing at Michigan State, I'd feel the same way about that.
The only thing I brought up about it is Baylor as far as we know right now, is what have been told, that they're still in a quarterback competition. And we know how it went through the spring was one day DeQuan would have a good day, one day Sawyer would have a good day, and they never really had a good day through those 15 or so practices at the same time. And so, but part of that is also DeQuan Finn was running a different offense, and Sawyer Robertson was running a different offense, and Jake Spavital was at a different place, and all three of them are, and the other quarterbacks too, but they're all learning each other together. So really the good work that they are going to do is probably now, after they've had some time to sit with things and learn. Like, you know, you can have a bad day physically because your brain is going, okay, we're going to run 34, and then you're screwed up and you're all over the place. I think they're actually in a pretty good spot when it comes to quarterbacks. Now, the guys standing in front of them is a different question, but DeQuan Finn was the MAC player of the year.
I also think that the two young men competing, Finn and Sawyer Robertson, whoever's not named day one starter will be disappointed, as they should, will not stop competing. I don't think they're going to start like calling other places because they can't go anywhere right now. I think that you got two pretty good young men that are in that position. We'll see what happens. We mentioned some of the commits and stuff. We're not going to do that every day, but Texas A&M defensive lineman DJ Sanders committed to A&M from Belleville. That's Richard Reese's alma mater, the high school team, and Grady Rowe, the head coach, a heck of a player in Sanders. Chose A&M over Texas, and also Michigan top 75 recruit, so he got his commitment done to Texas A&M. Now, this is one of those texts that Paul sends me, but there's nothing attached other than a link. But bringing the past to the present, Oklahoma is going to have a throwback uniform. Is that right, against Houston during their game early this year?
I think that's a problem with your computer, not me. Again,
that's what I got.
It just means it doesn't populate. So,
well, I don't think I can populate anything anymore.
Garrett, I sent you this tweet.
It worked for me. It did work for me.
All right. You know, when you drink the water of the old Windows computer and don't get on the Apple tree here, you know.
Let's go on.
Do these look like eerily similar to Nebraska? Does this make you frustrated a little bit? Have you seen this?
It's a different color.
I know that, but it looks too much like Nebraska.
Very similar. It almost looks like more Nebraska 1970s Nebraska,
Fair.
Which is kind of what they're doing here. This is back in the 60s and even back when Bud Wilkinson was the coach. So, yeah, the stripe down the leg, I kind of like that. But they are a little bit more of a raspberry. No, what is it? It's more crimson, where Nebraska's scarlet red. I mean, so a little bit of a difference, but very close, especially when it was black and white.
Yeah, that's
you couldn't tell hardly any of the teams apart. Illinois throwing out these babies, throwback uniforms when they play Michigan October the 19th. The 1920s themed uniforms commemorating the 100th anniversary of Red Grange and his 6 touchdown game against Michigan.
Yeah, these are awesome.
That absolutely looks like a leather helmet.
I actually think these look better than their regular uniforms.
They really do.
I've never much cared.
Yeah, they kind of got an orange and blue or whatever color. Yeah,
and like their Illinois logo again looks to me like somebody just, put it in a thing and then just went font until they got to one they liked. I like the ones that they have just the eye on the helmet and they do that. Those look better. But this is awesome. As a matter of fact, I already know what a green gridiron person we're going to make is probably that helmet right there. To bring that up, while it's tied in, we got some new ones today, Smokey.
What?
Back here, green gridiron helmets.
What's the one right there next to Florida State?
That is Air Force. That was the Tuskegee.
Oregon State's in there.
Yeah, Oregon State's been here. But we got.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't see the beaver.
Yeah, we got a Notre Dame helmet. We've got UTSA and SMU.
Saw that. I can't believe Jeff Traylor didn't autograph one.
We've got Notre Dame. We got the one I wanted you to notice was right here between Notre Dame and Army. Do you know who that is?
Hold on.
You should.
The one next to Florida State?
No, Florida State that's Air Force. That's their Tuskegee Airman helmet. Right? Okay. Then there's Army. That's one of their special helmets. Right. Then there's Notre Dame, and then there's one in the middle.
That's a Nebraska, what do you call it? Their black uniforms that they wear.
That's Navy right there next to Notre Dame.
No. I knew the Navy. What's the black helmet?
That's Army.
Oh.
That's in one of the Army ones.
What's the one next to Army?
Air Force.
Oh.
That's one of their special helmets.
Man, I would not. But yeah, the black Army helmet, just those uniforms. I know there's some that go, hey, when Army and Navy play, it's boring. I love the game, and we got plenty of time until the next one. I get emotionally all tied up in that game. Speaking of getting tied up, the game in Dublin, Ireland, between Florida State and also Georgia Tech has been sold out. It is a sellout. 47,000 tickets have been snapped up for that game over in Dublin, Ireland. Congratulations. They'll sell that baby out. Economic impact of nearly, 115 million pounds for the local Irish economy, set to welcome about 25 to 30,000 fans into their location. Nick Foles, NFL Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Big
former
12
from
great.
Austin Westlake, by the way. And then he went to Michigan State. Big 12.
Yeah, Big 12. He went to Arizona.
Oh, that's right. That
12
counts.
great.
Like, just like the Pac-12 guys and girls that win Olympic medals is the ACC. Yeah.
I mean, just like Katie Ledecky is ACC star.
Yeah, that's
all. She owes it all to her ACC coaching and education.
Greatest ACC game of all time was Cal Stanford. I mean, bottom line, that's just the way it is.
I mean, look, I have no problem saying this, but I think that she's the greatest ACC athlete that's ever lived.
No, there's got to be somebody better. She's good, but I don't know about greatest athlete.
I mean, a lot of golds.
Where did Mark Spitz go to school?
UCLA. He's a Big Ten athlete.
Big Ten guy.
Yeah.
So Nick Foles has announced after 11 years he's now going to retire from the NFL. Won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, played at Westlake High School, and then, of course, also played at Michigan State, which sometimes you forget about. And then, as you mentioned, Paul, at Arizona.
I was at the Super Bowl that he won for the Eagles. It was wild. It was, top to bottom, it's one of the best sporting events I've ever been to, outside of the fact that when you walked outside, you wanted to die. But it was, just crazy loud with the Eagles fans in particular. The Philly special was something I'll never forget seeing live. I wouldn't have forgotten if I watched it on TV, but it was just seeing it live and the way the crowd reacted to it was unbelievable. Justin Timberlake was the halftime show. That was unreal. It was just such a crazy, crazy game. And then, Philly takes the lead and gives Tom Brady, over a minute or so to come back and win it. And then the true Super Bowl, this is why they were the best team was most teams in the NFL, you give Tom Brady 2 minutes to only have to get a few yards. They're going to do it, and they went out and sacked him right away. Yep. And they were ready to go. They knew blood in the water. They weren't intimidated and brought this first Super Bowl to Philadelphia in forever.
Guys like Nick Foles, Case Keenum, the long
Chase
careers.
Daniel.
Chase Daniel.
Mark Spitz went to Indiana, apparently, so still a Big Ten athlete.
Okay. Right now, Paula, if you swim 1,500 in the time that KL did, then tell me she's not great. That's not what I said, but I appreciate the comment. I didn't say what I said is that not that she's not great. At what she does, she's phenomenal and among the people in the conversation. But to say she's the greatest athlete in ACC history, I would need a list in front of me of who else is up for that decision, for that conversation.
I'll stand by it until you prove me wrong. Nobody dominates her sport like she does.
I will spend the rest of the night thinking about how I'm going to come back with 7 options as good or better.
They better. All right. I'll take her over Deion Sanders in actual ACC. Look, Michael Jordan is kind of good at things. No.
See, you just already blew a hole in that right there, right? Just saying. All right, so I got a question for you. You guys don't answer it at the same time, and I'm telling you, be careful how you answer. Paula says, go, Paul. Oh, my God. Okay, Paula, you and I, it's over.
Yeah, well,
so
good.
Answer this question, but I want you to see if you can answer it quickly. The college football playoff, correct? 12 teams. Mm-hmm. Is that a set bracket, or will they change as the rounds go by?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to change it just like they would do the selection show because they're going to have to build up the anticipation and they're going to have to drive in the eyeballs and everything. I'm pretty sure you're going to see the same style.
Yeah.
The bracket is fixed.
Okay.
This was Andy Staples. I'll give him credit in his mailbag, whatever they call it. The bracket is fixed. The teams are not reseeded. And I'm not saying, Garrett, my brain got
just thinking how things would work
a little bit sideways with this one because I was wondering. So in other words, the requirement to be a conference champion, you get to be 1 through 4, odd dynamic that likely gives the number 5 seed an advantage, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change. Now, you don't know who you're going to play if you're one of the teams that are, until you see who survives the opening, 4 games? Yeah, the opening 4 games. But it has not changed. It is not reseeded. And I'm of the opinion that's what makes the NCAA men's basketball tournament so special is that if a top seed or a high seed or a couple of them in your bracket or in your region, they get out and you get a free run, hey, good.
Yeah.
You still have to win to be able to have the opportunity to clean up because somebody else was in front of you that you thought you probably wouldn't beat, and they're no longer in front of you.
And in the short term, I do think that the people who are like, well, the teams are just going to, the teams of the bye or the top teams are just going to beat the teams that show up anyway. But, I mean, basketball doesn't work that way. Now, look, there was probably a time when basketball first expanded the tournament where there were less upsets. But as this thing has gone on, look, we didn't see a 1-16 or 16-1 upset for the entirety of the 64 and more team tournament
until about 2
years ago.
Yeah,
and now we've seen 2 of them.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yep.
If you just give it time, it'll be fine.
So you and Paul are a thing, right? You and Paula?
I mean, clearly pals.
Here's one that will test your manhood.
Okay.
Tiger Woods.
I mean, also a great ACC athlete at Stanford. But, he's made
kidding me?
He's made some personal missteps that Katie Ledecky just won't make.
She's young.
Yeah.
Don't know. She's young. I mean.
No,
some of us understand that you're still young. I don't want anyone to make any missteps, but she's very much just a youngin'.
Yeah, no, I get it, but man, you know what? Tiger Woods has won golf tournaments how Katie Ledecky has won.
Yeah. When he won the Masters by 12 or whatever it was. The U.S. Open. I mean,
I understand that the whole thing is not to quit and all that in the Olympics, but if I was any of the other swimmers in that 1500, I would have given serious thought to, is it worth it to stand up on, to be the silver and bronze medalist in this when we are clearly swimming a different race than this person is?
How many people remember the silver medalist?
No one really
Very
does.
few.
Yeah, but my point was...
that's unfortunate because that's an amazing accomplishment. It's still like you're number 2 among everybody in the world at that particular sport.
Yeah.
Every 4 years.
It's a great accomplishment, especially for someone who's never medaled before and maybe they win a silver and then they go on to win a couple golds. It's a big deal, but in that particular race, watching it in the 1500, I was like, if they said, would you like to go up to the podium? No, can you FedEx me this medal? Because I don't think that
Hell, I would jump up there, man.
It was just she.
Yeah, she's dominant.
They were in the production booth actively going, what camera angle do we have so that we can prove that this is not one person doing this alone?
Yeah, no. Clint Moses, I miss Craig. He will be back on Monday. Craig, I don't think really right now is really caring about this show. I think he's probably either he's just chilling somewhere in the hill country, maybe he's in Tyler, or he's where he is in Waco and just enjoying peace and quiet. That's the way he rolls.
I promise you he hasn't thought about any of us here 1 second.
And I'm even related to him.
Yeah.
Barry Switzer Light Lager. This is a beer. And that is Greg Horton, just what do you call it? A freelance writer put that up. I saw Switzer actually put it up too. But Barry Switzer Light Lager.
Emery, are you making a trip back to your ancestral home anytime soon?
I think so.
Can you,
can you get some?
Get a hot, not hot, but get a 6-pack and we'll put one of them on the back.
Well, get more than 6, Emery. We'll throw them down.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And if not, I can definitely, I'll have one of my people bring it up.
One of my people. All right. Yeah. Well, but let's not forget that Busch Light, Bud Light, and Michelob Ultra are the sponsors, the beer sponsors of 365 Sports.
Yeah, but we just,
Thank God somebody's paying attention here.
I just want to try it and see,
All right.
Look,
we got a break.
Barry Switzer's involved in it, and it's an alcohol. I kind of have a feeling it's going to be pretty good.
We're going to come back a little bit later on. Ginger Bear in the message board asked a question about the Big 12 when it comes to quarterbacks, et cetera. We'll have that for her. We kind of touched on it earlier in the show. This has been the Smokestack. Coming up next, he is the sideline broadcaster for Memphis Tigers Radio Network and also hosts a show in the mornings in Memphis. Two-time Emmy Award-winning Greg Gaston on the Memphis Tigers, sponsored by Metal. This is 365 Sports. Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress in Robinson, Texas. I have, it's so nice to not feel like a sharp pain or something that seems to be building up. It's a problem with some of my teeth. I mean, I've lost a couple of teeth in the front, had to get a bridge done, almost lost a bridge, had to get that kind of, at least for now, taken care of. I've had root canals and, cavities would be the easiest thing I've dealt with because I didn't take care of my dental work. And how stupid was that? Just think about that. That's just dumb. And so that's why I had to get a lot of work done. Not only that, there's a lot of pain with that, even though Dr. Steve Childress is incredible. When I have to get that like numbing needle in your jaw, whatever, it's like sometimes it's like I don't even feel it. No, I really do, but I don't. I mean, he does a great job with that. But all of that because I didn't take care of my dental work. It was stupid for years and years and years, and now feel really good about where I am with it because of Dr. Steve Childress and other dentists inside Stonewood Dental, tech specialists, hygienists, those who clean teeth, and also those who get the appointments set up for you. It is a phenomenal, family-oriented business with great dentists and great equipment and great people. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Get ready, Baylor fans. The ultimate game weekend experience awaits you at the Baylor Club. Kick off your weekend with our Friday Night Live pep rally. With live entertainment and special appearances from the Baylor Spirit Squad, it's the perfect way to start your game weekend with a roar. On Saturdays, don't miss our Knox Hall tailgate. Enjoy delicious food, ice-cold drinks, and great company as you gear up for the big game. And after the weekend's excitement, wrap it all up with our famous Bear brunches on Sundays. Don't wait. Make your game weekends legendary with the Baylor Club membership today.
Cars priced right, day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Ghost Hydration is a fully transparent, fully loaded, full-flavored hydration drink that we've all been waiting for. Ghost is caffeine-free with electrolytes, zero sugar, and low sodium that'll hydrate your body before, during, and after your workout. Consumer loved with authentic flavors, so grab and enjoy a Sour Patch Kids Blue Raspberry and Red Berry, along with the Kiwi Strawberry, Orange Squeeze, or Lemon Lime. Ghost Hydration can truly be used anytime. Remember, it's formulated for sports, but made for life.
At Genco, our goal is to build long-lasting relationships while providing complete financial solutions for each step of life's journey. Our members enjoy fewer fees, lower rates on loans of all types, and higher yields on a wide variety of savings options. That's just a small part of the credit union difference. Visit Genco online, on Facebook, or come by one of our 5 locations today. Apply online for membership. Genco FCU, NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco with a Youth Tennis Academy. Director of Junior Tennis, longtime pro Britt Coleman, Kenna Kilgore, Assistant Director of Junior Tennis. Also, Jody Thurman, head of pickleball. Pickleball courts are there at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, along with numerous tennis courts and even a stadium court. Personal training with Randall Corey, Laurie Hall, Christy London, Robin Nelson, and Nathan Roach. Some other specials they have this summer. Lessons and leagues and sessions. Intro to pickleball is available too. Camp Fimpo, partnership for day passes, and Hawaiian Falls Water Parks right next door. A special season pass offer exclusively for members, $49.99. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness Season Pass, $10 savings with exclusive offers beyond unlimited admission. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with group exercise classes, free weight, cardio, Cybex, and more. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Greg Gaston, Memphis Tigers Radio Network sideline reporter, also a two-time Emmy Award-winning reporter, and does the morning show on Sports 56 in Memphis, joins us on 365 Sports. Greg, thanks for your time. You have a hell of a resume, by the way, and great to have you on the show. So Memphis has got some steam. People are looking at them as a possible top 25 team, and that's fine. They've got a great lineage in football. What are the expectations, and how frustrating is it that, man, they're going to have to be the best of the group of five to get into the playoff?
Yeah, first of all, it's great to be with you. Thank you so much. And I think it just means that I've been in the business a long time with that resume. But, yeah, look, everything has come together for this to be a special year for Memphis. Whether or not it happens, it's all up to them on the field. But the problem is, if there is a problem with this team, which is very loaded, when you have a 4-year starting quarterback, it's very rare in college football to have a 4-year starter at that same school. But when you look at the schedule inside this American Conference, the schedule makers did not do them any favors, because you have to play the best in that conference all on the road. And that includes UTSA, Texas San Antonio, that includes Tulane, and a rising South Florida team. So Memphis has a gauntlet of teams to have to get through with road wins if they are to get to that promised land, get to the conference championship game, win it, and then certainly with the new 12-team playoff have a chance to actually represent the group of five in the national playoff.
Well, they have a tough non-conference schedule, too. I mean, on the road in Tallahassee. But that is student and teacher, right? So is that one that you could see as a potential springboard to national attention for Memphis?
Well, there's no question about it. Mike Norvell did a fantastic job here in Memphis and really helping turn this program around, got him to the Cotton Bowl, and then went on to Florida State. And Ryan Silverfield, who worked with him and knows him very, very well, able to hook up with Mike to get Memphis and Florida State to battle. Look, Memphis will go in as an underdog in that game. I think Memphis can certainly hold its own. I think it would certainly be, I wouldn't say a little bit of an upset at least, if not a big upset, to pull that victory off in Tallahassee. But even with that said, and the non-conference schedule, which includes a very solid Troy program, you get them at home, that's a loss. If it happens, that's outside of the conference, so it doesn't do any damage in the conference. As far as the national picture is concerned, certainly a one-loss conference champion team with an additional loss to a Florida State, I don't think disrupts anything as far as their goal to be that team in the end in the 12-team playoff. But that will certainly be an early challenge. The problem is you turn around, you go from Tallahassee and a game against Florida State, then you have to go to Navy. And Navy has been struggling the last few years, but expected to be better. And you got to play them with their offense, which is so different than any other team's offense in the country, aside maybe from Army. And you have to be prepared for that right away. So it is a schedule that also has those little bits and pieces of challenges, including those 3 road games in conference, like I mentioned just a moment ago.
Greg, if I said, okay, you have 1 minute, and I'm not questioning you would, but couldn't, but how hard would it be to be able to name everybody in the American Conference without having to think too much about it?
I think I could do it, but if you asked me last year, it would have been probably having to look down at my cheat sheet to know that here comes teams that once were with Memphis in Conference USA, then were out of the conference when it became the American, and teams like Rice coming back and UAB coming back and North Texas coming back and Charlotte coming back. So it was a reunion of sorts, but a reunion, quite frankly, that Memphis wish it didn't had to be wouldn't be a part of it. You guys understand that Memphis certainly feels that they should be in a power conference. They saw SMU leave to go to the ACC, and that has been a goal of the administration for a number of years now for Memphis to move into one of these power conferences. But while they're still here, they want to certainly make the best of it. They want to be the best of the best. The American Conference has certainly staked claim to being the best of the non-Power 5 conferences. So if you're going to be that, you want to be the best team in that conference. That goes for football, that goes for basketball, and all sports.
Greg, have you seen the influx of the FedEx money doing work right now?
It has paid dividends, no question about it. Every coach I have talked to said it has certainly helped big time. It's not the end-all, be-all. They certainly need more. $5 million sounds like a lot, and it is, especially in the Group of 5 territory. But they are going out. They're working hard to raise more funds, and certainly the collective's doing what they can. Now, of course, we got revenue sharing and things like that down the road, which is a whole other story. But as far as what FedEx has done, and they have always helped out this university, they have always helped out this great city of ours. Quite frankly, we'd be lost without FedEx. Next week, we have the big golf tournament, which is the first playoff of the 3 playoff events for the FedEx Cup, aptly named FedEx Cup. So if you don't have FedEx associated with that, maybe you don't have as big a tournament. So they've been so important to this city, but certainly extremely important to the university, especially when it comes to NIL and that gift they've given.
You mentioned earlier, and we've had you on before, back when things were still changing when it comes to conference realignment, the Big 12, and much, much more. And there's always the thought about exactly what else Memphis could have done. And that ship has sailed. But who knows, right? Who knows? How hard is it for them to watch SMU or Cincinnati or Houston and others be where they are right now?
Extremely hard. It's been extremely hard. They thought they would be a part of the teams that made it the first time around to the Big 12. You know, SMU obviously had the finances, the background as far as being able to be supported financially to make that move to the ACC. And Memphis wonders what else they could do because they've gone out there. They have certainly made it known what they are trying to do. The programs have been very consistently good in every sport, whether they win or not. They're usually right there in the mix. And they've gone out. They've also been able to get funding from the state plus funding from their own fundraising to renovate Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, which is an old stadium, but still a stadium that I believe has great sight lines and still is a fun place to play football. It's not a decrepit stadium by any stretch of the imagination, but they're going out, and right now they're in the midst of the renovation, which will certainly affect the next 2 seasons because capacity, which is normally around 65,000, will drop down to about 32,000 in 2024 and 2025 while the renovations go on. Now, Memphis is not filling 65,000, certainly, but it hurts a little bit when you have a team that is expected to play as well as they hopefully will. The crowds would be bigger, and it's capped at 32,000. But the bottom line is you're renovating a stadium, you're modernizing a stadium, and hopefully that is maybe the last piece that they need if there is continued if there's continued reorganization with other leagues, expansion in other leagues. You just got to hope that it happens and you get your name called that particular time. But I don't know what else they can do. But to answer your original question, yes, they are not happy watching these other schools that they have battled for years in several conferences get the call to the Power 5.
Greg, would you say that, I mean, you said that, obviously it wasn't dilapidated or anything at the Liberty Bowl, but it just kind of was, right? That it wasn't a stadium that had any real amenities to it. It was a stadium, it was there, and it seats 65,000, like you said, and that was about all you could say about it. Like that and again, to take that step, they needed to make it more than that.
That is a fair point. Now, you're sitting in the seats and you're watching the game. Like I said, the field looks great. I'm down on the field. it's a nice place for these guys to play. It's a nice place to watch from any seat in the stadium. But no, it is an older stadium, does not have the modern amenities. They were able to put some suites in, but just some suites. The press box was old. Wasn't dilapidated, but the area around it was. Now, they are sprucing up the area around Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. It's called Liberty Park. They're putting millions into that. So they are really doing what they need to do to at least be in the conversation. Now, again, I've always had an issue whether or not it's really the stadium and things of that nature. I still believe it's the perception of the city. I think in a lot of ways when leagues look at Memphis and they see violence and they see that a lot of people are under the poverty line. Well, a lot of big cities have those battles, but this is a great city with great people, and I wish they were given their just rewards and one day get to where they need to be, because I would love to see if they had equal resources where they can go with the talent that is produced out of the city of Memphis, specifically basketball, but in football as well. A lot of these players will move on and go to Power 5 schools. A lot of them go to the SEC. Well, now Ryan Silverfield's done a pretty good job with his extra NIL money to be able to get players either right out of high school to come to Memphis or to get the transfers with the portal to be able to pay them to come to Memphis and play for Memphis the second go around for them. So things are a lot better, but they still need to get better where they can be in that position if, again, there is more movement around the country, which they certainly hope there will be.
It seemed like Norvell, when he brought him to Memphis, kind of brought him out of what was just a lot of change in his career. He's coached at high school. He's coached in the NFL. He's coached everywhere. But now he seems set with what he's done at Memphis. Did anyone expect that kind of success, even though Norvell kind of set the table pretty well?
I don't think so. I think at first it was divided on whether or not they should stay in-house and elevate Ryan. I was definitely pro Ryan Silverfield, for my opinion, whatever that, if I carried any bit of weight at all, I certainly was pro Ryan Silverfield. There were some others that were. There were still others that felt that maybe they should look outside the box, go outside, find a different coach. But Silverfield, one thing about him, he is really, really dedicated to that program, that university in this city. He has been here a long time. Now, if a big-time program or an NFL team turns around and says, hey, we'd love to have you, let's be honest about this. More than likely, he will move on. But that has not occurred. He's been very outspoken about being a part of this city, wanting this city to grow, wanting this program to grow. I think he's done a magnificent job, to be honest with you. He's attracted some very good coaches, and he's lost some coaches to power schools that come in. They are able to give those coaches deals that they can't refuse because obviously financially they can go a lot higher than Memphis can, and he's had to replace them, and he's done a really nice job in replacing them. They've all hit the recruiting road extremely hard. They've all done their job. And it's all because they have a lot of respect for Ryan Silverfield, who has also the respect of those players. They like playing for him.
Ryan Silverfield's, one of the better offensive line coaches in the country too. I know that's not under his purview necessarily anymore, but Greg, that is something that has not changed though since he's become the head coach. I think it kind of falls through the crack when you've got, quarterback like Seth Hennigan. They've got really good wide receivers. They seem to have a revolving door of running backs who are always pretty good too. But the offensive line has stayed consistent, from the Norvell era straight on through because of him, right?
Yeah, Ryan's done a really good job. He's also brought in David Beal, the former New York Giant offensive lineman who's been here now 3 years working with the offensive line. And this year I see more depth with the offensive line than I have since I've been here covering Memphis. And that's a long, long time. I've been here since 95 covering the Tigers. They have more depth. Hopefully it's as much talent as they've had. They've put players in the NFL, including offensive linemen. Dylan Parham just a few years ago, starter first year when he reached the NFL with the Raiders. So, yes, having the background that Ryan does have, the offensive line is very capable. The problem has been they each and every year get hit with major injuries, and it depletes the offensive line. But this year, again, with that depth, hopefully that won't be the case. As you mentioned, skill position players, that is not a problem. Tim Cramsey's offense is a high-octane offense, one of the better offenses in the country. So they're always going to be able to entertain those running backs and wide receivers and even quarterbacks that want to come and play in an explosive offense. But it's the offensive line, as you guys know, that makes it tick. If they're protecting Hennigan or whoever else is in there in the future at quarterback, and they're opening up holes for those running backs, the offense will stay prolific. Man, they have produced a bunch of pro football players over the history. I think it's like 135 or 40, if I read that correctly earlier this year. Obviously, the running back position has been just so salty. Greg, thank you. Good luck. We'll have you on again once we get to the season and see how things go, especially with that game, as you mentioned, against Florida State with Norvell against his former team. Could be a lot of fun this year. They could meet heights that they've never meeting before, guys, and look forward to being back on with you. Yes, sir. Greg Gaston, the Memphis Tigers Radio Network sideline analyst and reporter, and also does the morning show there on Sports 56 in the Memphis market, which is a great football market. One of the things about Memphis that at least was brought up when at least there was still not so sure was the fact that it's in the South. Like, I know UCF is in the South, and I understand, but they're in the South, and there would have been kind of an opportunity there for somebody with a footprint, and not that far from Birmingham, obviously, with where they are in the South. But again, I think Greg summed it up pretty well, and they also will move on and see how they're really good. 10-3 last year, 5-year deal for Silverfield, a really good deal. Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, joins us on 365 Sports. Dennis, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. I know you're always grinding. And you put out your 24 things, etc., when it comes to the college football season. When you start putting all that in writing, how much do you like, man, so much has changed? And I think that might have been your opening sentence in your story.
Yeah. I mean, it's some of it's very little about football. When you consider NCAA stuff, lawsuits, Florida State, stuff like that. But the lead was things will never be the same. You can, we've had the end of the college football playoff as we knew it. Now it's going to triple. And I didn't put it in there, but I think I've been saying all summer, there are things we haven't even thought of that are going to be huge with this. And I don't know what they are. I mean, it's just stuff that's going to pop up. There's going to be seating issues. That's why I think, Smokey, this thing, November 1st, is going to be about 20, 25 teams that are going to be in the running for this thing. You could never say that with the old DCS and the CFP. So I think it's going to be fun. I had brought this up. Somebody had put this question out about, was the 12-team college football playoff one of those where the bracket would change based on the seedings at the end of each round? And the answer is no. And I kind of like it that way, don't you? Yeah, I think that kind of, mucks it up, for lack of a better term. Just set the bracket. I mean, the seedings I think are important to begin with, to rank the teams in the bracket. But after that, it is what it is. You only have 12. It's not like you're having the Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA or something like that. You only have 12. So the best are going to be 10.
Dennis, with 17 teams this year, like you said, changing conferences, do you think that the common college football fan will have a period of confusion when this thing starts about where everybody is and how this affects everything going on? Well, somebody like me is having problems. I can't imagine with the fans. I mean, I don't know exactly right off the bat who's in Conference USA. I know the Sun Belt stayed the same. The Americans changed. I know those top 2 or those top 4 conferences pretty much, or the Power 4, those 68 teams. But I think the best way to one of the best ways to look at it is you look at the SEC and Big Ten combined, 8 out of the top 10 in the coaches poll were from those two leagues, and 15 out of the 25. You want to know how this is going to go? 15 out of the top 25 in the country are from those 2 leagues. I don't know if that's ever happened before. What's a bigger story, realignment, the new realignment, as Paul, you had mentioned 17, or EA Sports College Football 25? Depends on your view. I mean, every media day I was at, the players were either playing it or being asked about it or complaining about their rating. And I just got my copy. I'm sitting here at 0-8 with Hawaii in the Big 12 right now, so I don't even know what that means. But, yeah, to
to the younger, I guess, fans and players, that's all they're going to do. I mean, good luck going to class, practice, games, EA Sports, NCAA football.
No, I agree. I mean, I agree. Dennis, you said there's some things that we don't even know what they are that are still going to happen. Will that most likely be around something that's new when it comes to what the athletes will get, or do you feel like it will be more about realignment?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there was a movement, or there still might be a movement for the selection committee or the CFP to put in a set of standards that have to be met to get in, if you will, in terms of maybe schedule strength. And they don't want to do that. I mean, they don't want to show their work. It's as I keep saying, it's the most secretive process we've had in college sports, because the coaches show their ballots at the end of the year. Any AP voter shows their ballot week to week. We know even the basketball committee shows the top 16 teams, the top seeds in February every year. That's something. We get this contrived Tuesday night, thing during November, which is nothing more than selling, selling commercials and trying to get the selection committee chair to say something that you can hang on him and said, yeah, but you said this. And it never happened. So I would like to see it. I would like to see it definitely opened up. What are they doing? Let's see their math.
Well, Dennis, it doesn't make sense to me why and this coming out of last year with everything that happened with FSU, it just makes sense. Like, what's the secret? Because are you afraid that somebody's going to see it and go, oh, well, they definitely did say the SEC has to get in this thing. If there's nothing to hide, then why not show it?
Well, look, you know the answer to the question. They don't want people trolled on Twitter. And worse, last year there were threats against selection committee people after the Florida State decision. And I hate to say this, but if you can't stand it, don't do it. It is what it is. And I think it's going to get, in terms of this thing, there's going to be even more scrutiny on it. Now, in some ways, look, all the teams that deserve to be in are going to get taken care of. But we're going to have arguments over first round buys, seeding, and that 13th team. And you know how that's going to go. Look what happened with Florida State. So it's going to happen. I guess the word, I would say be more accountable. I mean, I know we have an Air Force general now in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but he's never done this. He was a football player. And by the way, Richard Clark's his name. I'm really impressed with him. He's totally in. Great guy, great accomplished, very accomplished. But I'm sure there are things he hasn't even thought of that he's going to have to deal with.
We had him on in Vegas at Big 12 Media Days, and you're right, just distinguished. And when we suggested a couple of things that are the challenges, he wasn't like I always thought Bill Hancock, who was there forever, was a politician. I didn't feel that from him.
I agree. I think he's a forward thinker. He's a guy that flew 40 bombing missions in the Middle East when he was a pilot. So he's not afraid to take it. Like, he's a guy that might listen to some of this. Like, hey, let's open this up a little bit. But I think he's going to be very progressive. There's a thing called a murder board that he wants to use, and this is used in the corporate world, military. It's called a murder board. You go in with your team, wherever your team is, wherever Smokey's team is. You go to a whiteboard. Here's our next project. You write it down, and the team that's watching shoots holes, and they murder it. What's wrong with it? What can we do better? That's what he wants to do. Now, I don't know if that applies. That might apply to game production or something. I don't know if that's going to apply on picking teams.
That's cool, though. I mean, that would be cool. You go in with an idea, and they shoot holes in it. That tests exactly
like opposition research.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's progressive. I like it.
So, Dennis, the football season actually going to start here pretty soon. There's so many things, as you mentioned, outside of just the games. Your thoughts, is it automatic, really, almost at Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, who am I missing? Oregon, and then maybe there's like the same five that everybody will have in their top five or so, at least for a while?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Georgia's pretty much head and shoulders number one. Obviously, these teams still have to do it. I like Texas. Now, they lost back, or obviously the tailback yesterday with the knee, but I think they've got enough depth. Ohio State may have the best defense in the country. Oregon, I think, will challenge Ohio State in the Big Ten, and I think they'll make the playoffs. And then again, we can talk about this now, but then you got to win 3 or 4 more games to win a championship. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, I would say that, we're not talking about Alabama. I think Alabama would get in, but I don't know if they'll win it. And that's a whole new set of circumstances. What happens if Kalen DeBoer, who takes over for the greatest coach of all time? We've never seen this in our lifetime. What if he goes 9-3, makes the playoff, and gets knocked out in the first round? How's it going to sit with Alabama fans? I don't know. Probably not well. But that's something to look at.
I've said this, and I've said it to a lot of college guests, Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, that a lot of college football fans, especially of the blue bloods, alphas, et cetera, they're going to have to maybe at some point check themselves at the door with what a good record is these days.
Oh, yeah. I started to get into that at the SEC media days in Dallas. And I started asking around, okay, 9-3, should you guys get in? Absolutely. We have the hardest schedule in the country. What are they going to say? But my point is, you're going to have 9-3 teams in mostly, probably exclusively the Big Ten and the SEC because of the schedules they play. So if you win the right 9, look at Florida. Florida's got a chance to get in because they arguably have the toughest conference ever. It is by far the toughest conference this season. I don't know if any team has gone into a season playing 8 of the top 20 ranked teams in the coaches poll. 40% of the teams that are ranked.
Yeah.
And that's what Florida's doing. Now, I don't think they're good enough to win 9 of those games, but if they win 7 of them, Billy Napier might get an extension. And everybody take a look at that schedule. Who was it? UCLA going into the Big Ten is traveling the equivalent of 89% of the way around the globe. They go to LSU. They go to Hawaii, I think, the first week. They play in the Big Ten. They fly across the country for a couple of games. What impact is that going to have on them? So there's different things besides point spread and injuries that are going to affect these games.
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and flex your follow-up.
That's where, and it's over. Like you said, things are never going to be the same. Why the Big 12, when they had 10 teams and everybody played everybody, it was an absolute, you knew who earned the opportunity to play for a conference title.
And the same in basketball, when everybody played everybody. Yeah, remember they trumpeted that. They were the only true, round-robin team in the country. We get 7 of our 10 teams to the tournament. Well, now they have 16. And having said that, I think it's in there in the story, I think the Big 12 is like a top 3 story this year, just because it's going to be so fascinating with those 16 teams. And there's not, I know Utah's favored, but it's pretty wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wins it is probably going to do something that they've never done before. Think about Kansas, think about Kansas State. Think about Utah. They've been to Rose Bowls. They've never played for a championship. Can you imagine Lawrence, Kansas hosting a first-round game, which, by the way,
will be where?
They've already been cleared by the CFP to play a first-round game, most likely that Friday night, December 20th, at Arrowhead Stadium.
Okay.
How about that?
That would be awesome.
How about that?
That would be awesome.
Dennis, what do you make of all of the chaos going on off the field with Michigan right now when it comes to the NCAA suspending a coach that doesn't want to coach in the NCAA anymore and has a better job, to what's going to happen with Sharon Moore, and will this team be able to put off the distraction again like they did a year ago?
Well, it's embarrassing, first of all, overall, because Sharon Moore, according to that draft notice of allegations, deleted 52 text messages, which may or may not be the smoking gun to prove that somebody at Michigan knew about Connor Stalions, because we don't have that. We have Michigan obfuscating. We have Jim Harbaugh not cooperating. We have details on what Connor Stalions did, but the NCAA hasn't been able to tie, say these people knew. Here's the smoking gun. Sharon Moore, because of what I just mentioned, could be suspended this year. You'd have another season. Now, I don't want to say it was easy for Jim Harbaugh to miss half the games last year, but he did have a he did have a support system built in, where Sharon Moore was kind of the senior coach, and he went 4-0 during those suspensions. Sharon Moore's a rookie head coach, and who would take over for him with the season at stake in some of these games? I don't know. The other thing is, you guys need to become familiar with the Cheeseburger Gate. And this is public. All you have to do is read the public infractions report that came out, 2 days ago, that concluded that Jim Harbaugh obfuscated, lied, whatever, in the COVID case. Level 2 violations. They worked out players, had players in during COVID. Not supposed to do that. Level 2, nothing to it. Except that Jim Harbaugh says it never happened. I don't remember meeting with any of these players. Here's Cheeseburger Gate, page 5 of the public infractions report. On February 28, 2001, there was a breakfast allegedly between Jim Harbaugh, a prospect, and his dad. We know this because a receipt exists with somebody at 8 a.m. ordering a cheeseburger for breakfast. And we know this because the prospect told the NCAA, yes, stood out because the coach ordered. Jim Harbaugh's response to the NCAA, I don't remember. I don't remember that happening. Yeah. And he said that time after time, and he still stands by it.
Austin Meek, who covers Michigan, has a picture in his Twitter feed with a burger, a cheeseburger, and fries on a plate. It's a great deal. Dennis, as always, thanks for your time. I know you got so much to do, and I look forward to whatever is going to happen that we don't know about, because that only brings more interest, although has been a crazy 3 or 4 years. Thanks for your time, my friend.
Yeah, get ready for some football. I'm ready for that. Thanks, guys.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. And the story, it's on his Twitter feed. I believe it's on CBS Sports. 24 compelling storylines, teams, coaches, players that will dominate the 2024 college football season. And I know we got to get to Brent Zwerneman here in just a second, but he's got it broken down like it's a new era, realignment, Texas, OU, SEC. Georgia goes for history, biggest shoes to fill, Kalen DeBoer. Michigan goes for more, play on words, all or nothing at Ohio State. West boast, see how they play this year, all of them coming in from the Pac-12. ACC uncertainty, also known as the Catalina rule. Welcome, Helmet Communications, that's another thing that's pretty cool. Washington State, Oregon State, adrift. Heisman Watch. Young guns talking about coaches in the 30s.
Let people go to the article.
No, I'm not giving the information. And then I'm just giving you some of these are many, and of course part of it was the beloved video game has returned. You're grumpy today.
I have to pee, and we got to do a live spot.
Okay, first of all, I'm always the first that gets to choose that because of extenuating circumstances.
I understand that, but I
don't have to, so let's go. All right, when we come back, Brent Zwerneman, a man who created college football chaos with his story back in the summer of 2021. He's going to write up, in fact, he's writing a book about it. I'm not sure if it's ready yet or not, but he will be next, and also talk a little bit about the SEC and the Big 12 and much more. And this is 365 Sports.
Hey guys, my name's Tyler Duval. I'm with Texas Beef House, and I want to formally invite you to our timed auction that ends tonight at 6 p.m. Texas Beef House, raise the beef, and bidonbeef.com is selling the beef. So just listen to Smokey. He'll give you all the details. But 365 Sports is the promo code that'll get you $25 off. And you're going to buy Wagyu and Angus beef tonight. Free delivery straight to your door for roast, brisket, steaks, hamburger, short ribs, you name it. We've got the best beef in Texas. We can bring it straight to your door. Just check us out, bidonbeef.com. Appreciate you.
I love the videos. Thank you, Tyler. And also the first couple of days of the week in Samantha. Now, here's what you can do. I went online and I was bidding on, I think it's like 10 or 14 pounds of sirloin steak, Wagyu sirloin steak. And I bid like it was like $12 for a pound. And I think there's like 10 pounds of these steaks. And I was leading. And then all of a sudden I got a notice that I had been outbid. I said, damn it, I am not going to give up without a fight. So I went back in about an hour or so ago before we started the show, and I raised my bid from, it was 12, somebody else put in 14. And I'm one of those guys that sometimes bids against myself. I said, I'm going to go 18. And I don't even care. It's going to be like 200 or 300 hours, and I'm not bragging about that. but I just wanted to fight for this. And you can do that right now by going to TexasBeefHouse.com. The online auction is live, and it's not much further. You got a couple of hours, I think it is. And so get in there. And, I hope some of you really do. And then if you do this, if you do win your bid, put in there 365 Sports as a code word, and you get 10% off anything above $100. And don't forget now, they will send to the contiguous 48 states and elsewhere. So that's it. TexasBeefHouse.com, the online auction going on right now. Thanks to TexasBeefHouse.com and BidOnBeef.com.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoke. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon-wrapped fillets, sirloin steaks, bone-in ribeyes, boneless ribeyes, and even prime rib. Cut specifically the way you want, the thickness that you want. They're all delicious. They have Norwegian salmon, mahi-mahi, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey, variety of cheese, and several options of sausage links, and even regular jalapeno or cheese snack sticks, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, and ground beef, marinated beef or chicken fajitas, and always large briskets and tri-tip available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and tradition continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, a full-service butcher shop and bakery, open Monday through Saturday. The Bauer family, Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions IT success guaranteed.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Brent Zwerneman, rock star, author, columnist. Houston Chronicle joins us on 365 Sports. So tell everybody what you've been doing, because I bother the hell out of people when it comes to segments, and sometimes I've always said, if we get you on, block my number, and I'm not joking about that. What's the project that you have been like knee deep in?
I think I need to do the one y'all suggested next about Oklahoma, Texas to the SEC. That should be next. But this one was on a guy I grew up with who is a very successful businessman in the Woodlands, a guy named Mickey McDougal. He was briefly a walk-on for Tom Penders at the University of Texas in the late 80s. And he spent his life, he was able to retire from the sign business at age 53, but he spent his life helping others and also a successful businessman. And he's really the most fascinating guy I know. So I approached him about a year and a half ago. I said, man, I want to tell your story. I want to put it in book form. And lo and behold, last night I finished it, man. I'm going on very little sleep, but it's an awesome story. It's called Life is All About Assist, and should be out within the next month or so. And then we can revisit then, because it is an awesome book and a very inspiring story.
That's all.
So when is it available? I mean, it's going to be a few months, so you have to go through all the distributors.
It's going to be through Amazon, and but probably early fall. I told Mickey he hits 55. I said, right when you become a senior citizen, man, the time is great here. But he was actually the mentor for a UT football player a couple of years ago named Jamarcus Durst, and took him kind of under his wing. And Jamarcus became a Big 12 champion for life from the University of Texas. So that was really cool. And Mickey's daughter, Brooke McDougal, was a standout golfer at TCU. She married another Big 12 champion for life from TCU, and Nate Guyton. So it's just a neat story. So I tell all those stories in the book.
Very cool.
Yeah. Brent, Texas A&M is a bit of an enigma right now as people see it, because of their coaching change and a new attitude. And you hear things about, I remember hearing, I can't remember which offensive lineman said the difference was there's more accountability, which kind of leads you to believe of how much stress was kind of in that program. Is A&M maybe with Mike Elko a less is more kind of a vibe right now?
Yeah, I heard back in 2018 that there was more accountability when Jimbo Fisher took over for Kevin Sumlin, and when Kevin Sumlin took over for whoever he took over for, it's Mike Sherman, right? There was more accountability. So it is interesting, going to your point about Elko. He's a pretty low key guy. He's a very smart guy. It's funny, I do these Otter transcripts, and his transcripts are the cleanest I've ever seen from any coach or player over covering years. I don't know what that means, if that means it translates into wins or what have you, but I do kind of buy into the idea that there is more accountability. The guys described in detail, at SEC Media Days, his methods in the offseason for holding them accountable. And they gave very stark examples, of you get a certain amount of dings, you have to show up for every meal and check in, all these things you didn't necessarily hear about with Jimbo. And I will say that Mike Elko, they still have a lot of talent on this roster. And he inherited a very favorable schedule. Their toughest games are at home this year. So, I would guess that he should be at least 8-4, might get to 9-3. Who knows? Possibly 10-2. It depends on how quickly. I will say this: when he was defensive coordinator at Texas A&M, they were 31-14. When he was gone, when he was Duke's head coach, and there was a lot less accountability because he was a guy who kind of represented the program in a lot of ways on the discipline front. Even though he was the defensive coordinator, they were 12-13 without him. So we'll see what happens. He turned Duke around in a hurry, and certainly A&M. He inherits a much more talented roster at A&M than he did at Duke.
Is of the returning talent, is it split evenly, or is it mostly on the defensive side or on the offensive side?
I'm going to go ahead and say it's mostly on the defense, because that defensive line, as y'all well know, the late Terry Price and Elijah Robinson, and then Elko, when he was there, they recruited the heck out of the defensive line. And those guys, you're loaded with. It's funny. I used to, I've covered A&M forever, and every once in a while you would cover, hey, they signed a 5-star, Martellus Bennett or whatever. Okay, Christian Michael, 5-star. Man, there were more 5-stars in the defensive line signed in the past few years than combined that I covered in the previous 20 years. It was crazy. So they're loaded, in the front four on the defensive side of the ball. They're strong at linebacker with Torian York, from Temple, having a great true freshman season and being kind of one of the leaders of that defense. I tried to localize there a little bit for you. Mixed in a Temple reference there. But
no, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Their talent on offense, that Connor Wegman, he's a 5-star guy, but he still has to prove that. He's only started 6 games and going into his 3rd year. He had the broken foot last year. They're pretty solid at running back, with Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens, a couple of highly rated guys. But to answer your question, a really long-winded way of answering your question, they're heavier on more talented on defense than offense, at least right now.
Oh, and that's Brent. That's been at their most successful times, save for Johnny Manziel's Heisman year. the attitude of A&M has been the wrecking crew. And that's been the heart and soul, much like Nebraska and the black shirts. Like when you look at certain teams and when they've been the most successful, they've had that attitude. Do you think Mike Elko can maybe get that back a little bit for them? Because it feels to me over the last couple of coaches, they've been trying to be somebody else instead of who they are.
Man, you nailed it. I'll put it that way because, okay, think about the last time that they won a conference title. That was 1998. That was R.C. Slocum. The last time that they had hired a defensive-minded coach to be the head coach. So since then, you had Dennis Franchione, Mike Sherman, Kevin Sumlin, Jimbo Fisher, all offensive-minded guys, 0 conference titles. So I think there is some thought to that. Even with that idea, I've written over the not just years, decades of, referencing the wrecking crew and going back to Datwin and that group as being kind of the last true wrecking crew defense. There were shades of it with Elko. I think they finished like number 3 in the nation in rush defense a few years, in like his last year at A&M before he went to Duke. And then you started saying, okay, this is actually looking more like a wrecking crew defense. And he left, he saw a good opportunity there at Duke. I don't think he expected to be back this soon, but then again, I don't think anybody expected the wheels to just kind of roll off after he left under Jimbo, and there was just such a lack of discipline across the program. So I do think the Aggies, especially the older Aggies, the old Ags, do appreciate the idea that they have a defensive-minded coach. And then they brought in Colin Klein from Kansas State to run the offense. And the sense I've gotten is that, as much as Mike Elko is going to say, hey, he's going to be in charge of all 3, that he is going to let Colin Klein do his work, which is what Jimbo was not capable of a year ago with Bobby Petrino. He brings in Petrino and doesn't even let Petrino use his own language in the offense. And, and it was just more of the same with the offensive ineptitude with a pretty decent defense. They were pretty good overall on defense last year. So, yeah, that does excite Aggie fans that there's a defensive-minded guy in control again at Texas A&M.
I don't know how to really position this, but obviously with the SEC adding Texas and Oklahoma, kind of like the 800-pound gorilla that has entered the conference, and we can go into all the rivalry and whoever, Big Brother. If Texas A&M wins 9 games, 10 games, and I don't know if they'll win 7, but they lose to Texas, is the season a failure?
No, I would say not, because at that point you got to see where Texas is as well. Now, if Texas comes in there, which I don't think they will be, but if they're like 6-4 or whatever, it'd be 7-4, and then Texas wins, then you have to reevaluate. But I think the Longhorns are still going to be strong, and if A&M has pulled off at that point, say 9 wins, gotten to 9 wins, no, I would say it would not be a failure. Although there's going to be an awful lot of disappointment. One of the deals that they made with A&M, and y'all know this, the last game was at Kyle Field, so it stood to reason back when they renewed the rivalry, the next game was going to be in Austin. Well, one of the few bones they threw A&M in the whole deal was that, okay, y'all get to host the first game. So, ever since 2011, Texas has had bragging rights in the rivalry. So if then the Horns come back into Kyle Field in 2024 and win again, that's going to really leave a sour taste in the Aggies' mouth. But if they're at 9 wins, if they're at that point, 9-3, they're going to have to say that's a successful season under Mike Elko. But I will say Aggies don't want to look at that schedule next year, because all these advantageous home games I'm talking about, when you're talking about LSU coming in and Texas coming in, all those games are on the road next year as well.
Yeah, and obviously they got the Notre Dame game early, which will be the ticket prices for a handful of their home games with Notre Dame and then also with Texas coming into town. I saw somebody wrote that the ticket prices for the Texas game might be well over $1,000 right now. And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's for the 100,000 tickets, too. Go ahead.
I know. I'll take the George Strait approach to that, because it also depends on where those teams are. If they're both struggling along at that point, and I don't expect that at all, in late November, then you're going to see those prices plummet just like you did. I ended up buying, early on when they announced George Strait at Kyle Field, the ticket prices were crazy. And I waited until the opening act was on over there. Next thing you know, I got 3 tickets for me and my kids at $18 a piece. So we'll see. But yeah, right now, I'm kind of kicking myself that back when I didn't buy season tickets for this year because obviously it's shaping up as quite a home schedule. But we'll see how it is at that time because a lot of things can change between now and then as well. Although, let's go back to that whole idea, throw the records out. My dad grew up in dime box, and he said when he was a little kid, they'd go out on the porch and they knew where the game was that year on Thanksgiving by the way the cars were rolling, which way they were rolling on Highway 21. So I'm excited. That was the first thing, when this came out a few years ago, my first thought was, it wasn't about Sooners, Longhorns to the SEC. My first thought was, the game is back.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of a highlight for, Texans. It was my favorite 3 hours of the year, and suddenly it's going to be back on what should be an annual basis. There's no way in the world this game could be at opposing places every 4 years. That would be nuts. I mean, they've got to play it annually, but that hasn't been announced, but certainly it seems like that's the way it's going to head.
Brent, I would think that one of the things you do to get A&M on board and not so mad about, Texas coming in is make sure that they're going to benefit from it somehow and being part of a marquee rivalry again, which, no offense to the A&M LSU rivalry or any other rivalry they had in this decade plus in the SEC, but they didn't really have one yet. I mean, it would just, and they're still singing about the Longhorns. So let's make that the rivalry.
Yeah, it's been missed. There's no doubt. And, and the A&M LSU games have been colorful and everything, but absolutely this one, I mean, they're separated by 100 miles. You've got to play it annually. And yeah, to your point, they tried to do that with Arkansas with the neutral site game and in Arlington. I always enjoyed that trip. You get up there to the Metroplex for a weekend in the fall and all those things. That's nice. But this game has been missed, so it's pretty cool that it's back. And I'm really looking forward to being up in that press box again for what was, the highlight. It's what I looked forward to all year, in terms of saying, man, I get to cover that game. Well, those of us get a little long in the tooth on the beat get to cover the game again.
Last thing, and Brent, great stuff, and congratulations on the book, and send me a text and we'll put it up when it does come out. But with what you're going to do next after you finally have a life again and a football season to cover, do you already start like a file where you're jotting things down for when that time comes when you write the book?
Yeah, in terms of like what the next book would be or something?
Like if you did the Texas OU SEC story as a book, whatever that happened, it could be in 5 years, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's a good question because I've actually took note at the time. I thought, okay, this is probably a pretty big deal. So I started taking notes very extensively at that point. And it is funny. I remember in Tom Landry's, I believe his autobiography, he thanked reporters in the forward of saying, hey, appreciate y'all writing all the stories over the years, back when, because it helped jog his memory on things and he could go back and look. And I thought that was pretty neat. I said, you know what, daily historians, that's what we are. So also part of it is the daily stories I wrote during that time, but also I took additional notes, things that I didn't put in stories, like Greg Sankey's expression when I asked him, are Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC, in person on Radio Row at SEC Media Days, things like that. I'll put it that way. Those will be included in the book.
Well, good luck with what's going to happen when the book is released that you just wrote. What a great story, but also great stuff with you today on A&M and the SEC and college football and more. Thanks for your time, man.
Fellas, much appreciated. Thanks for having me on.
Brent Zwerneman with the Houston Chronicle, who started the realignment chaos with a story that the A&M AD or nobody within the A&M system had a clue about. There were like 4 people, and they were all probably like Kevin Eltife and Chris Del Conte and 1 or 2 others. No one knew. And when he did that story, and I don't remember where I was, but it was during the week. We had just come back, I believe, within a week or 2 from Big 12 Media Days in Arlington. And the next thing you know, my God.
Oh, I mean, the thing I remember was thinking first about Bob Bowlesby sitting down was going, man, this has been so smooth. Like because he felt like, honestly, this is the best year we've ever had working together, which was code for Texas and Oklahoma didn't give me any crap this year. Like it just, we went along, Texas and Oklahoma didn't give us any crap, and then turns out to find that was just a courtesy because they didn't care. And he didn't know, like everybody was caught so flat-footed, and our theory forever
Well, think about how everybody's flat-footed when the school that is a part of the conference didn't know.
Yeah.
That would be one you'd probably hate, by the way.
But Brent, we always thought that somebody from A&M called Brent in you're not going to believe this.
Mm-hmm.
Texas and Oklahoma are coming here after we've done all this work to get away from them. And it wasn't that at all. A&M, that was the first person he called. And they're like, what? What are you telling me right now? Brent, no. Is this a prank? Is this a prank?
Mac Rhodes had just left Big 12 Media Days and was on his way to where he kind of goes and decompresses up in the mountains somewhere in the Southwest. And all of a sudden, it was like the third, it'd be 3 consecutive summers in which he could really never just take a little bit of time off. And Brent said that they've had bragging rights. Well, they've owned that series 76-35, I think it is 7. Oh, here it is, 76-37, 76-37 and 5. But when R.C. Slocum was there, and they had a lot of success with the Aggies against not just Texas, but a lot of different people. Let's see here. This from Dundee's, the Oklahoma fan. It was a beautiful day when that story broke. It was a beautiful day because it was a huge story. And I'll tell you what, I think if we were to sit there and look at our history in the 4+ years on the air, that started, we were gaining steam. That then was like a steroid shot, an adrenaline rush. And then, of course, each summer after that, USC, UCLA. And then after that, the Big 12 reacted to Texas OU. And it's just, like, I never lost sleep over it because you don't do that, but you try to figure out what are we going to be covering next.
I would have only lost sleep over it had the Big 12 collapsed because that would have been bad.
Which there were thoughts that could happen.
Well, I mean, we had no idea. Like what?
Until, I don't know why, remember? I got a nugget.
Yeah, so.
Got a big bone thrown my way.
Yeah, I think
what are you laughing at, Garrett? I meant information.
Okay. Sure, what Paul Walters?
Honestly, if that source ever revealed himself to it, it probably wouldn't be off the table.
I'll always remember what he said to me, and I would get a text, or I'm going to call you, or I'd get a call, or whatever, and it was, and I would check it. By the way, not just with people that live at University Parks on I-35 here. I'd check it with others as well. Everything hit. Everything. And he floated one thing that he just wanted to see. It was like one of those float balloons like politics do, like if it was going to go over very well. But he was right. Mm-hmm. He was right. He was absolutely right. And they reacted incredibly fast. Now, people could always argue about the 4, and Memphis would like to have had a conversation, et cetera, and others. But golly, Paul, that was a fun time, really, because it was fun, and then it all came together very quickly. Wasn't that, I believe that happened in late July, Texas OU SEC, but it was sometime in early September as the season was beginning when the schools who were coming into the Big 12 from UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, and BYU had already accepted the invitation. Boy, that was unbelievable. Just imagine if they would have not gotten that done. Then you would be talking about the Pac-12, perhaps, and the Big 12 having just been blown to smithereens, which they've been under the gun like that for quite some time. So I'm glad the Big 12 survived. Would rather the Big 12 survive than the Pac. That's from Duh. Let's see here. Bobby B, speaking of Mac, any chance we get him on sometime? He's just not on as much. And I think that was the plan. We had him 40 out of 52 weeks a year. And I just think that last football season, for 5
years.
I think last football season not just wore him down because of 3-9, because of the rumors about what Aranda, but some of the conference realignment, because that was the summer before, like last summer. And I just think, quite frankly, he was probably more available than we probably deserved. At the same time, no, we deserved it because we built that reputation with him and also that relationship. And we hope, and I maybe need to kind of nudge somebody, hey, it's been 2 or 3 months, it's time. And so we'll get him on, I would think. I'll be stunned if we don't get him on in August.
Yeah.
If he comes out of the mountains.
But we've covered, we have covered everything we can cover with him. And then when we have something to ask him, he's always there to answer it. But there was, I understood them backing him off because you think about, because there were some times where like, we might have finally gotten through it all with Mac. And that's because we had him for so many years, so reliably. Yeah, I get it. Like, let's have him on when there's stuff to talk about. I can't wait to ask him about, which we haven't, like what exactly the new tailgating will look like what those changes are. We haven't had him on since they announced it.
I agree with that, but I'll also be honest with you. I think that there were a lot of topics because he was so available, so transparent, would answer anything, that I think that we probably started to get into topics that he, even with the AD job, he had many more bigger fish to fry.
Oh, yeah.
And although, again, it's kind of like a coach, if the offense doesn't work, that's your responsibility. And I think we got into probably a lot more like game day atmosphere, tailgating, things like that, when a lot of other people were making those decisions.
Well, the tailgating decision is under his purview. So that's why I think it, like, their big thing was they kind of leaned into the way that they were doing game management and game experience, where I think and now you'll see it more spread out among different parts of the university because that's where it needs to be. But yeah, COVID and the tailgate guys deal did not work out. Like, it hit at the wrong time, and then they just didn't, like, tailgate guys wasn't what I think that they thought it was going to be.
Well, and we used to be in the belly of the beast when we did our pregame show before we started what we do here with the podcast, and it was packed, and it was. And then all of a sudden, it's like a ghost town. And I hope that it all works out. There's some people that have left across the street to where Sikkim 365 has their tailgate, which is fantastic, and teaming up with Camp Fimfo, by the way, with the tailgating coming up for this upcoming football season while we stay here in this big, beautiful studio and do the pregame show and what we will do with postgame too. Coming up a little bit later on, let's do an Olympic update. I got a problem with a guy who's an incredible track athlete, but I got to get to this. And then later on today, Mike Scarboro, he looks at LSU and more. And then, of course, Paul in his top five. This is tomorrow. He's at the doctor's office today. Tim Brando, we've been kind of pushing. He's just not been feeling well. I told him, go get like an injection of something with energy. So I'm expecting him, Ross Dellinger tomorrow, Grayson, of course, tomorrow. And there's another banger that's a part of tomorrow's show, like we try to bring to you every single day. This is 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. If you build something, you need to know about who they are, and it's worth the drive to Waco or College Station to get what you need because they have the best when it comes to pipe, steel, and metal. They build things, or they have the equipment and product to build things, but they'll help you with that and help you get set up with the right kind of people when it comes to the contractor. I've never had to build anything, other than a tree house back in the day. And even then, that was kind of a experience for me and even the kids. But I wouldn't know how to build something large like that. But they do. They have experts, and they will tell you that there's no question that if you need something and help, contractors that some can slow down the process, gummy it up a little bit. Nope. They know who the ones you need to go to. Their complex is what I call it. Their new building, their new business on the Loop 340 and east of 35 in Waco was phenomenal. Distribution, bays. You can have big 18-wheelers, haulers. They have room for pickup trucks to pick up all the equipment and product you need. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. PioneerBoys.com.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels. Drive the all-new 2024 Grand Cherokee 4XE or Wrangler 4XE today. Lease payments start at just $589 a month or finance for 2.9% for 84 months. Experience legendary Jeep performance with cutting-edge hybrid technology. Hurry, only at Allen Samuels in Waco. See dealer for details.
Come by. Let's be friends.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different
stonewood-dental.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Looking to connect with Baylor alums in your area? Baylor Alumni can help. Looking to host a watch party in your city? Baylor Alumni can get you started. Want to step out in your community and serve with other alums? Baylor Alumni is your connection with the university and each other. Let's get started. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. This segment is brought to you by Busch Light, the sound of refreshment. The coldest and smoothest light lager there is. Find Busch Light near you.
Find Busch Light wherever you find Emery Winter.
Yeah, I think so.
Was that what we had in Vegas, or was it Busch? Busch Light, yeah. Well, I remember the first night we were there, everyone was basically sleepwalking or just zombie mode because we left so early and they had nowhere to go to kind of chill out. So we're in the Vegas radio station with the ESPN and all that big group, that Q. And when we finally got to the house, the Airbnb, I was toast. But I needed to go get some dinner, right? Because I think Jack was unbelievably kind and he ordered a couple of pizzas and I went to a couple of them. And I turned the corner. By the way, that Jeep Wagoneer I was driving, that thing was unbelievable. It couldn't get as cool because of the heat in Vegas. And there was Jack and Emery walking down the street, and I'm thinking, my God, it's 114, and they're going to go out walking for exercise. They were not. They were walking, but Paul, the exercise was going to the local convenience store and bringing back like a 24-pack of Busch Light.
24, Emery?
It was 12. 18.
30.
30. Okay.
30. Oh, dear.
I actually think I opened one up. I'm not a beer guy. I used to like Coors Light, whatever. I'm just not a beer. I'm not an alcohol person as much as I used to be. I mean, literally, I just barely sometimes will have a drink on the weekend. But there was old Jack and Emery coming back. I had the pizza, and they had already, there were empty cans all over the floor like a frat party.
I have not had a Busch Light in probably 20 years.
Isn't there a...
Yeah. I have not headed for the Mountain of Busch. Not a disrespect for the product. It's just Michelob Ultra is one of our sponsors. I had one of those like a week ago.
I always liked Michelob Ultra in the bottle.
Oh yeah, very good.
I just did. But I drink if I'm playing around a golf and on a golf trip, which I haven't gone to one of those this year, which is driving me really crazy. I used to do one every year. If I have a beer, and if I'm down to see my brothers, where my brother lives in Fort, Hutchinson Island, he will have like Japanese beer, kind of like for reminiscing old times, because that's where we used to live, like a Kirin beer, a Sapporo. But I just don't get beer much. Although I'm going to go get Mexican food tonight. I think I might have to some chips and hot sauce and do that. All right, Olympics update. Turn your sound down. Do not blame me if I'm about to tell you some things that happened today. And one that I'm a little bit, kind of soured me a little bit. But, ready? 3, 2, 1. The Olympic basketball tournament. Serbia blew a tire. Jokic and his team, they were playing incredibly well, had the United States in trouble. But I got to tell you, LeBron and Curry and Embiid and all them, they went off. Durant. And they won. They came back to win that game to advance to play France.
Devin Booker played really well too.
Devin Booker made some. They didn't miss.
They're going to play France. Joker made a really stupid mistake. He had a really dumb foul. And I said threw Anthony Davis into Kevin Durant as Kevin Durant was making a three, and then that kind of that moment turned the game around for Team USA.
I don't know if the United States missed more than 1 or 2 shots in the last 5 or 6 minutes, too. So their pedigree stood up. Now, in the 200 meters, remember now, Noah Lyles had not lost in 3 years, finished second in the heat yesterday, the semifinals. He lost to Letzi Tobogo of Botswana. And he didn't even win the silver. He won the bronze. His teammate Bednarik won the silver. And then after the race, after it was over, you could tell he was disappointed. He went down on the track and kind of seemed like he was gassed, maybe hyperventilating. And then afterwards, he told the NBC reporter Johnson, Lewis Johnson, I'm not, that he had COVID and would tested positive or something like that on Tuesday. I just wish that would not have been brought up.
Yeah, he was wearing I noticed last night in the heat he ran, right before they were showing him, he was wearing a mask, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird.
Well, he was, I know. I'm not doubting him.
No,
I just think that probably, that to me is just a little drama.
When you are as brash as he is, and I don't mind him being as brash as he is. That never bothers me about athletes anymore. It used to, now it doesn't. I kind of enjoy it. You know, some of it's real, some of it's, whatever works for you, man, do it. You know, as long as you're not, rude to people, which I don't think he is. He's just brash. And he had a great race the other night. I mean, coming back and winning the gold in the 100 and all of that. But yeah, just maybe one of those things you just kind of leave out, and it just makes you, in a PR sense, look a little bit bad. But
it's to me, it takes away from the young kid from Botswana, who had an unbelievable personal story. And I know Lyles did tweet at him about how he was proud of him because of what he's been through personally. I think he lost a parent earlier this year. Also, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone set another world record, winning the 400 meters. She has now lowered her own world record 6 times in a race of the 400 meters, which might be the most difficult hurdles. Might be the most difficult, I think, race in track and field. I'm not saying more than like 32,000 meters, whatever. But
when somebody hits a hurdle, do you get like a little panic? Like
no, I do.
I like when somebody hits one, I'm like, oh, here.
My brother Robert was 6'4", who's the one that passed away in April. Was an incredible hurdler. And at West Springfield High School, when we lived in Virginia, he was a junior, and he was like highly ranked, and he tripped on a hurdle, landed on the track, scraped up his leg or whatever, eventually ended up in the hospital for a lengthy time because of what's that you get when you're like a cut does not heal. Oh, my God, it's not pneumonia. What is it?
Staph infection?
Staphylococcus. And at times, it was touch and go. And so, that hurdles is just like the steeplechase when you're exhausted and you got to jump over a steeplechase, et cetera. So those are some Olympic things that have happened so far, at least today. But McLaughlin-Levrone is, she's just unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And she ran 50-37 400-meter hurdles. There's some, including me and everybody in this room and everybody watching this show, with all due respect, couldn't run a quarter mile in 50 seconds. Now you go jump over some hurdles.
You know, watching the mile race, watching the mile race the other day, and I remember like watching a movie that's an old movie. It was like on the Disney Channel as a kid.
Yep.
About somebody who could run a sub 5-minute mile. Like, that was the big deal then. And there was, like, sub 4 minutes. And then now, like, I really do think that we're going to get to a place where somebody's going to get close to pushing they're going to do this thing in 2:59. Because it's just the athletes are getting so much better and more trained. And, nobody's walking into restaurants full of cigarette smoke anymore and all these things. Everything's kind of, skewing toward the healthier. It's unbelievable. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, she is one of one.
Yeah, she's just a remarkable 25-year-old. Katie Rader, David Smoke, he has COVID. No, I think that's what we just said. And then maybe you were saying that as we were bringing up Lyles when he went down on the track. And so it's unfortunate that occurred. I also think it's a great story with Tobago, who won the 100 meters. So just wanted to bring that. Coming up, Mike Scarboro, he always brings it, covers LSU, Tiger Bait, full throttle, stick your head in the tank of gasoline, light it with a match type of segment. That's next. And this is 365 Sports. The Baylor Club, 10 years. That's one of the things that will be celebrated this year. McLean Stadium opened during that unbelievable year when Baylor and TCU went toe-to-toe, 61-58. Both of them just missed being in the college football playoff, which both programs to this day, that's like an evil thing to say. But so is the Baylor Club. They're celebrating 10 years. Tonight, it's going on. They just had a ribbon cutting. They just finished up a ribbon cutting. But right now, anytime after 5 is their biggest membership open house for the year. Going on right now at McLean Stadium in the Baylor Club. Last call before football season. Whether you're a longtime member or interested in joining the Baylor Club, is a good chance for you to explore everything they have to offer and also mingle with members to tell you what they like and what you get. There'll be live entertainment. That's like in 15 minutes at the Baylor Club at McLean Stadium. The Spirit Squad, Bruiser and Marigold, and also, by the way, food, tastings from the local vendors, and more. And yes, the Baylor Club membership right now. Benefits include full access to the club for upscale dining, member events, business networking, co-working spaces, and hosting events with minimal or no room rentals or charges. The Baylor Club X-Life membership includes full access to the club, plus the entire invited network that includes select clubs for golf, racket courts, aquatics and fitness, and more, and 50% dining at all stadium clubs, and also 25% off dining at select city clubs. Mike Molso, the general manager, one of our new sponsors for the football season. It starts in 15 minutes. They just wrapped up the ribbon cutting at the Baylor Club. Go find out what you want to do and what you need, and are you interested at the Baylor Club, McLean Stadium, right now.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely, and I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
Bambi SQ, what is the number one reason or 2 or 3 reasons, Bambi, that people should contact House of Travel?
As a travel agency local here in Waco, we can take care of all your bookings, your payments, answer your questions, help you when there are issues or problems, things that may come up that you don't know what to do or how to fix them. People don't realize we don't charge a fee for what we do. It doesn't cost you extra to use a travel agent. We're just here. We get paid by the tour companies and the cruise lines to represent them. But you have an expert on your side that's here and local, and you have a name and a face to put together to help you with anything that you may need. Give us a call. We can price things for you. We can help you answer questions. We can make it simple, easy, and one stop.
Your knowledge of all the years you've done this and then spit it back to them or give them options?
It helps us to kind of know a date range, a budget, what your goals are and what you want to see and do on your vacation. And then that helps us to know what to look for, and we can narrow down and help you make the best choices for your vacation. So you get the best value. You get exactly what you were hoping for, and making sure that it's taken care of with a carefree, easy, simple for you type vacation. I've been doing this for over 40 years. Every day I learn something something new. I experience new situations and things that I can help take care of for people, whether it's just making sure you get the best deals and find the best vacations, or whether it's to solve that problem, like you've got a flight that's being canceled and you don't know what to do. There's weather coming up, but should I cancel my trip next week because of the hurricane? Those are things that we take care of and you don't have to worry about. You've got somebody that you can rely on that you know is an expert, knows what we're doing, have been doing this for a long time, so that you're not questioning, okay, does the person on the other end of the phone really understand what I'm asking or know how to find those deals? You've got an expert, and we are here to take care of that.
For more information, go to houseoftravelwaco.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The Sikkim 365 app is brought to you by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Here we go. Anytime we need a spike, we call Mike Scarborough. Mike Scarborough from Tiger Bait, right?
Yes.
Because he is an angry gentleman.
I wouldn't call. No,
he's misunderstood.
Yes.
Very much like I am. He's full throttle energy and loves college sports, athletics, and, of course, LSU Tiger football. Mike, thanks for your time. The expectations for LSU, if it was a grade, like a class, A, B, C, D, or F, what is the expectation level?
Man, I think most realistic LSU fans around here think, 9-3 with a 10-win possibility in the bowl is realistic. I've tried to temper some of the LSU fans' enthusiasm that you've got a lot of the same personnel problems on defense that you had last year. I think they are going to be improved, but just because you're excited about a new defensive coordinator and all new coaches on that side of the ball, and there's some great coaches there, you're still missing some key gems and Joes. D-line, defensive back play. Of course, you lost what you lost on offense. The offense should still be prolific. But, if people are looking at Vegas and Vegas saying LSU's going to be favored in every game but one, and they automatically want to correlate that to being 10-2 or 11-1. And, look, anything can happen. Luckily for LSU at this point, knock on wood, they've avoided catastrophic injuries in fall camp, and they've been real diligent and smart out there with being smart with the heat out there and getting the kids acclimated. But, on one hand, and I've told you guys before, in the spring, to me, with the deficiencies on the D-line and elsewhere, in normal years, I think this could be is an 8-4 football team. But when I look at the schedule, and it's probably the most favorable LSU football schedule I've seen in 30 years, you get past USC in the opener, and you could really be on your way if you avoid any major injuries, and certainly that includes Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback. I wouldn't want to go into November without him.
Mike, you mentioned the Johnnies and Joes that they've got to get there on the defensive side of the ball. What do you think was they were, through multiple coaches, never really lost defensive talent. What did Brian Kelly do differently that allowed them to kind of fall behind there, or is that just kind of the modern era and transfer portal hit them?
I think it's been a perfect storm or imperfect storm from Brian Kelly's point of view. It's been a combination of the defensive tackle spot having so many years in a row with new coaches there, some bad luck. The state of Louisiana, for whatever reason, has had a stretch of not producing a significant number of defensive tackles. And it's a premium position. And to me, that's a big part of it. And honestly, you can point the fingers at maybe some player personnel people that were on the staff a couple of years ago if you want to. But the offensive position recruiting is off the charts. But the defensive recruiting, particularly defensive line, edge rush, there's been some issues there. And while they've had great success with transfer portal guys over the years, there's also been some guys that didn't give you what you needed. So it could be boom or bust. But with what they're doing in recruiting now, and with this new staff, the class of 2025 with 20 commits right now, and what they've got on the hook and how they're looking for 26, I think that all that's about to get rectified. And then who knows what this 105 roster limit is. It can really help a team like LSU that needs to catch up in a hurry, get it done.
Mike, I know I was listening earlier to Joe Sloan talk, and he mentioned the creativity that he's seen out of this running back group. What are your thoughts on this unit as a whole, and how can they make some progressions this year? And I know they're going to need to run the ball a lot more with Garrett Nussmeier not being mobile the way Jaden Daniels was, but what is your expectation for this group, and what do you think he truly means about being creative with them?
Well, I think, first of all, they want to increase their time of possession. They want the defense to have time to gel, keep them off the field, give them a rest. You're not very deep on the interior defensive line, and certainly you want to get an edge rush for those corners to have a little bit easier time. But so you want to run the football. You don't have Malik Neighbors, but you have a lot of very, very talented, and they're deep at wide receiver. We'll see if they, have anything close to a 1-2 punch of Neighbors and Brian Thomas. But there's some highly touted guys there, and they did very well in the transfer portal at the wide receiver spot. I think the tight ends, Mason Taylor is going to have a bigger year, so I think they're going to be utilized more. I think they're going to throw the running backs a bit more. And Caleb Jackson, who was a true freshman last year, and I asked Sloan that question yesterday, he got hurt on the first quarter of his first game of his senior year. I was there when it happened. Just all of his senior year, he wasn't a midterm grad, but you're talking about a 230-pound, 235-pound running back that can run a 10-400 meters. And you want to say a little bit of Leonard Fournette combined with somebody else. He's that type of kid. I think the only thing that maybe would prevent him from being a featured every down back is how well he's grasping the offense, blocking assignments, catching the ball out of the backfield in the little things, because there's no doubt about it. He can take it the distance. He can run over a linebacker. He's just a load. And then you got the talented freshman Caden Durham, who's also there. Yep. You got John Henry to come back out of the portal. He's shown some nice flashes. I mean, it's pretty much saying something when a guy who you might be saying is your third or fourth running back is John Emery, who was a 5-star running back out of high school. And
we saw Durham when he was a younger player, Duncanville High School. Right. We saw him against Midway, and it was, and of course, Duncanville had everything you'd ever want in any team. And then Durham went off even in that game. Josh Williams, he's never had more than, 90-something carries in a season. So for the most part, it's a younger group, right, as far as experience and productivity. Is that a concern entering the season?
No, I don't think it is. It's just, what a story Josh Williams is. He could have went to the University of Houston and a few others. He wanted to walk on at LSU, earned a scholarship. If you saw him in street clothes, you would say, no way, that's the guy that I see laying vicious blocks on edge rushers that are probably outweighing him by 30 pounds or more. He's just been Mr. Steady, and he's very good at catching the ball out of the backfield. But if you can get Caleb Jackson to be as precise as him on everything in the offense, then you're really cooking in grease.
Mike, I know there's been a lot of talk and a lot of attention paid to Trey'Dez Green throughout this. And I know Mac hitting, I don't know if he's going to hit the portal or not, but how do you see them truly using Trey'Dez Green? Because I know Pimpton has emerged as well in that tight end room along with Mason Taylor.
Yeah, I think Markway walking away, and we're pretty safe to say he's going to get in the portal at some point. I think he just sees in this offense where a tight end who's a little bit of a throwback like him, more of a blocker. I think when we see what Joe Sloan does with the offense this fall, it might really tell a bigger part of the story as to why he's going to leave LSU. But, I think if they want to go large in the red zone, you can go ahead and bring in another offensive lineman if you need to. But and they've got some athletic ones. So, Yeah, I think Mason Taylor and Trey'Dez Green. Trey'Dez Green you can line him up as a receiver. He can stretch the field. He's just a huge target. And then you got the Kamorian Pimpton from Texas, who looks like a world beater. Saw a little bit of him last year, and he's made some fantastic catches. So you're talking about a couple of guys there that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". It's crazy the height and athleticism that they got at tight end.
Garrett Ross with a third question from Mike Scarboro. I wonder which favorite team he is, huh?
No telling. No, Mike, the last thing I have for you mentioned the defensive line and how they're working there and guys are trying to come into their own. But what have you seen from Savion Jones really with his battles with Emory Jones early on in this camp? What are his expectations this year?
I know there's some video of him out there, getting winning some reps. And if that's a case of what we're about to see throughout the season, that'll be fantastic. I wonder if you colored up 40 reps between the two of them, how many Savion wins against Emory Jones. But he's the guy that I had rated higher than Mason Smith that year coming in Louisiana. I had them both as 5 stars, but I gave Savion the edge. He was my number 1. So it was like 1A and 1B. But he's got the body. He's got the looks. You can argue maybe he was a little bit too heavy last year, but they've got to get some rush off the edge, whether it's him, Parrish, Shan, maybe some big things down the line from Relaford, the freshman. But they've got to figure out something there. And then Swinson and Womack, I said my report yesterday. It's like they've got to get some pass rush from somewhere. I don't know that it's going to come up the middle or not. They've got to get something off the edge, and we'll see who it is.
Isn't Perkins enough if they just let him go?
Well, they want him to develop and be a true linebacker. Certainly I think there's going to be some unique things that they want to do with blitzes and trying to bring pressure from different places and try to be confusing. But if Harold Perkins wants to be a top draft pick at the next level, he needs to be a guy who's more than just a rush specialist, and that's his goal. He wants to be a true linebacker and be an every down guy.
All right, I know that the transfer portal is a huge deal now to help fill gaps or even get better at certain places, but the Alphas still, Blue Bloods, they still dominate when it comes to high school recruiting, and it looks like LSU's having a pretty good run. I know that there's still a long way to go, but does it appear as that Brian Kelly and company have put together a great class?
It is. I really like what they're doing. I think that they've got the portal, NIL, collective stuff really dialed in and figured out. There was some times maybe a year or so ago where I thought maybe, for some guys, if you want to call them high dollar guys, that maybe they could get priced out of. I'm not seeing anything like that. I think they're in line with everybody in their peer group. A lot of weapons in this class, 20 commitments as of today, and 26 is looking darn strong. And Louisiana for 26 and 27 are looking darn good. So they just need to get, to me, in where they've got some deficiencies, there's safety in numbers. Keep getting those 3-star and 4-star defensive linemen you're going to hit on, because more often than not in LSU's history, it's the 3- and 4-star defensive linemen that pan out over the 5-star guys. Most of the 5-star defensive linemen that LSU signed in the last 25 years have not panned out. It's the Benny Logans and the Michael Brockers that either Les Miles had to be talked into, or you go to Houston and get Brockers, and the Texas schools weren't even really looking at him, and those are the guys who end up being the studs.
Mike, thank you. Appreciate it very much for being a part of the show. Such a great job covering LSU. TigerBait.com. Mike Scarboro with us on 365 Sports. And you noticed it. Like, normally, we don't even know if Garrett's here. 3 questions.
Hey.
One back to back.
4.
Oh, was it 4?
4. It was 4
I
questions.
tried to forget that.
4 questions. Garrett also today is rolling without his glasses. His glasses are broken. He is gone a few months with tape on them. Trying
like Kurt
to
Rambis stuff.
No, I've gone like 2 years with tape on them.
2 years? Oh,
Since
my gosh.
Before we went to Phoenix for the Super Bowl, they broke. And I taped them up and glued them, and they broke again.
Well.
I recall, this is me, that in Phoenix, the glasses were fine until that last night when they dropped you off and you guys walked down the street to a dispenser.
No, they were broken before I
ran
made my
into
way
a
out
street
there.
sign or something.
No, that didn't. That night later was a little bit long and rough, but it was
after you guys went down and got you some.
Yeah, I mean,
we found a cantina Taco Bell.
Yeah, we found a cantina. That was really interesting.
Did they really?
Yeah, it was the fanciest Taco Bell I've ever seen in my life. It
was.
I mean, I'm telling you, when I was at Tyler Junior College, and of course I was a sweetheart of a kid, but we would go to this club down the street, and I used to be a hermit when my first year of freshman, and then these guys came in. They all went to like Bishop Lynch and Bishop Dunn and all that, and they got into our dorm, Jimmy Gober and a few others, and we that's when I realized, oh, there's a club like down the street called Another Place, and so we would go there like 2 or 3 times a week. But the best part was my roommate at the time, at least in that semester, was a night manager at Taco Bell that was between the dorm and Another Place.
Oh, wow.
So we always had the munchies. I mean, not like you two.
Oh,
like
look,
this was from drinking beer.
When you walk in a Taco Bell at 2 a.m. or after midnight, they know what you're there for.
Oh, they cater to it with their marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the only 2 places that I think have been true to who they are Taco Bell and Jack in the Box.
Yes.
Like Jack in the Box and Taco Bell fully admit that, look, we are here for you during the day if you want something really quick, but we're open later for you guys.
No.
And we know who you're talking to.
Yeah,
And
no.
if you watch that commercial and be like, why would I go to eat a taco at 3 o'clock in the morning? Then you're not ever going there. But if you watch it and go, oh, that's good to know, then that's who it's for.
Yeah, it's to get food in your stomach or to kind of help get something in your system. Otherwise, you're going to probably pass out, throw up, or faint.
But I did, again, because of the dispensary, and we walked in that Taco Bell cantina, I thought, what is going on? I thought maybe... I don't know what Garrett gave me. I was like, this is the fanciest Taco Bell I've ever seen in my life. And I thought like a guy with a towel in his arm was going to come and like 5-layer burrito for you, sir.
Yep.
It's wonderful tonight. We have a vintage Mountain Dew.
All right, I got a question for you. This is we got a break here, right? We're good.
We got Chad Brindell.
Yeah, we got a break with Chad Brindell. But I want to real quickly this question. This is from Ginger Bear, and it is, question, is the Big 12 the most loaded conference at quarterback? I know I brought up the Davey O'Brien. What about running back? Now, running back, we mentioned that yesterday with the Doak Walker Award, that they're in that mix, is probably as deep a conference when it comes to that, especially from that original list. But I still think that with the quarterbacks in the Big 12, because of 2 that you have to wait to see if they're going to play all year with Daniels and Cam Rising, you hope they do, that the Beck, Ewers, Cook, and others in the SEC are probably, that gives them a pretty good head start.
So
you have,
looking at the Big 12, the ones you'd have that are for sure are yes, Fafita, Sanders, KJ Jefferson, Jalen Daniels, Avery Johnson, and Cam Rising, Green.
Avery Johnson is going to be a star. You would think that, but as far as better than Beck, Ewers, Cook, and
so that's but like.
And listen, I'm not an SEC guy that like is a propaganda person. I'm being honest about this.
I'm going to rattle through the SEC and the guys: Milroe, Beck,
yes,
Dart,
Jackson,
Cook,
Dart. Yep, it's hard. It's over.
Yeah. Ewers, and then you've got some guys like Wigman, Amali Alva,
Nussmeier,
all kind of right there. Brock Vandegrift at Kentucky. They're all kind of like, okay, like this is the next way. So
I just think that it's almost like the conference is pretty top heavy with some blue blood names.
Taylor Green at Arkansas is, we saw him win a conference last year, so we'll see how that goes.
I hope that all the guys in the Big 12 that are supposed to
Jackson
be good,
Arnold.
I hope they do. Yeah, I hope they do well. But that kind of just being honest about those names at the top who are all apart. But great question, Ginger Bear. Thank you very much for asking that. When we come back, Chad Brindell, Chad Brindell covers Cincinnati. We haven't checked in with him in a while. Cincinnati Bearcats. This is 365 Sports. And I know we're getting ready to run Don Chimero, right? But that's next. All right, but hold on just a sec. Or is it Marcos?
It's Marcos now. Don's after this.
All right, I'll do a little liner for Don's. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. I got mixed up on that because I did. It's what it is when you're 65 years old. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Fastest growing pizza brand in America. 5 locations in the Waco area, and it wasn't long ago when there were none. But now in Belle Meade, China Spring, Woodway, Hewitt, and in Robinson, Bob Mock has built 5 stores, and again, part of that fastest growing pizza brand in America. You can go online, marcos.com. You can order what you want, go pick it up, have them deliver it, and you could also create your own pizza. But they have salads, and they have sandwiches, and they have wings, and they also, of course, if you need a bottle of pop or something with soft drink as well. Marcos Pizza. Pizza lovers get it at marcos.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Our good friend Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jewelers here at 365 Sports. Now, Brad, people who watch and listen to our show know I'm a double-time customer for you, engagement ring and wedding band, and you guys do that great, but that's not all you do at Boozer's Jewelers.
Absolutely, and I always like to say, it's a new year. It's a great way to start the year out. Go through your old jewelry. Go through your wife's jewelry box. Go through anything you're maybe not wearing, something that's broken, something that you're not using. We do a massive amount of custom work. We can take your old jewelry, old diamonds, old watches, and we can convert it into something special for you and make a one-of-a-kind piece of jewelry. And if that's not something you're interested in, a great thing is we can turn that into cash. So we buy gold, we buy diamonds, we'll buy Rolex watches, any kind of heirloom jewelry, anything that's maybe passed down to you.
Boozer's Jewelers, where do they find you, Brad?
We're at 1025 North Valley Mills Drive, right on the corner of Lake Air Drive and Valley Mills with the big clock on the corner.
Pioneer Steel and Pipe opened their doors in 1943, and they have never wavered with their focus on great product and customer service, relationships with a handshake, making sure you, the customer, is satisfied. Their new facility is now twice the size, allowing new inventory, higher quantities, and in a much more organized fashion. In addition to the long lengths in tubing, angles, channels, rods, and flat, Pioneer Steel and Pipe now offers several shorter, more convenient lengths of material already cut. Their 2,500 square foot showroom has over 1,000 new products in stock, new welding supplies, hardware, quickcrete, and do-it-yourself components for any project, whether you are a professional contractor or weekend warrior. The new facility is designed to make your loading experience faster and more efficient with easy drive lanes around the building and much more room to get your trailer loaded. Our location may have changed, but our values haven't, and our relationship with customers goes much farther than just business. Pioneer Steel and Pipe on Loop 340 and Highway 6 and just east of I-35 in Waco.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
365 Sports, we'll hear from Chad Brindell in a moment. Bearcat Journal covers Cincinnati. He'll join us momentarily. By the way, one note about Don Chimero. You'll hear more from them in a minute about them. But they do have the Texas Wall inside the 48-foot walk-in humidor. That's the Texas Wall. And they are bringing in cigars from around the state of Texas, brands that are from here, from our state, and I know a lot of you from outside the state, including the Warfighter out of Church, Texas, just outside of San Antonio, combat veteran-owned and operated company. There are Rojas cigars out of Richardson up in Dallas, named after your favorite Mexican food. Smoke a whole enchilada or a breakfast taco, and that's what they have. That's Joshua and Cheyenne at Don Humidor Coffee Bean, just off Valley Mills in Waco. Chad Brindell joins us, Bearcat Journal on 365 Sports. Chad, you ever smoke cigars?
I'm not a cigar guy.
Okay.
I don't mind them, but it's not a regular habit of mine, Paul.
I used to, and I don't nearly as much, but I do when I'm playing a round of golf. It's just like, I don't know, it kind of relaxes me and gets me ready to hit the ball God knows where. All right, so we had Big 12 Media Days, Vegas. It went really well. It was a lot of fun. We know where Cincinnati kind of seems like, although Coach Satterfield's been fantastic when we've had him on. I've been kind of doing this. It's kind of a generic question. On a scale of A, B, C, D, or F, where is Cincinnati if this was a grade report entering the season?
Boy, that's a tough one. I would go probably a C plus if I had to accurately assess kind of where I think things are. I think the biggest issue they faced last year was depth, and I think that has been drastically improved. But coming off a 3-9 season, obviously there's still a lot they got to work on.
Chad, quarterback-wise, Brennan Sorsby came in. How do you feel he's progressed in this system? And they've gone transfer. Do you feel like they'll be able to develop a guy here coming up as well?
Well, yeah, the nice part about Sorsby is he's a redshirt sophomore. Mm-hmm. So, with Emory Jones, it was a one and done situation. With you, you're going to have. You guys still have me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
With Sorsby, you're going to have some time with him. Hopefully to kind of develop and become that longer term solution. But so far, he's looked really good. I mean, one of the biggest challenges offensively for them last year is they really failed to open up the middle of the field. It just wasn't something that was in Emory Jones' skill set, and I think it's something that hampered the offense. I think they've got a really good outside receiver, number one receiver in Xavier Henderson, who came in from Florida last year, but they never really got him going because everybody was able to just zero in on him, try to take him away, and they couldn't hurt you really in any other way. So I think that's something that, in Sorsby's skill set should be a huge lift to the offense that, allows for some things that they didn't have a year ago.
What is the status of Corleone? Did I see also, was it earlier this week or recently that another defensive lineman went down?
Yeah, so they had a transfer defensive lineman, Micah Coleman, that tore his Achilles. And he was kind of a guy they were bringing in to booster that pass rush, which was pretty non-existent last year. So that was a pretty big blow for their transfer portal haul. As far as Corleone, they're optimistic. He's out, with the team at camp. He's working out every day. He hasn't been cleared for full contact yet, but he's doing pretty much everything else. So, if I had to guess, you probably won't see him week one against, an FCS team. But then depending on how the rest of, this month goes between now and when they get into Pitt week 2 and Miami of Ohio week 3, I think there's at least some optimism that he'll be ready sooner than later once the season gets started.
What is the secret strength of this team that everybody is underselling right now? Or do you not know that because, again, this still feels very new with Cincinnati and Scott Satterfield, even though it's year 2?
Well, I don't think it's secret. They were the number 6 run team in the country last year, and they couldn't pass the ball. So imagine, yards per – and it was yards per carry, too. It wasn't just they piled up a bunch of yards because, they couldn't pass the ball. They had a really high yards per carry average. that was top 10 in the nation. So that's going to be what they have to lean on if they're going to win games in this conference. And then, you hope everything else kind of falls into place from there and they can, find much more of a rhythm than they found in year one.
Satterfield took over a program where a lot of people obviously would love for Luke Fickell to still be there. He's gone. He's at Wisconsin. He takes the job, comes in from Louisville. What is the timeline of what Cincinnati wants to see from him before they get uncomfortable?
I mean, you want to see a postseason this year, I think. I think, they've got an opportunity with the way that their season opens. The first 4 or 5 games are favorable. And if you can get 4 or 5 wins in that early part, if you can find a little bit of momentum, you hope you can find a little bit of confidence and you can get the ball rolling downhill a little bit. If they go 3-9 again, I mean, with the way his contract is structured, he's not going to be gone after year 2. But another bad season and the rumblings are going to begin around town. Mm-hmm. So I think getting to 6-6 this year, getting into, bowl eligibility, starting fast, and then, probably trying to, they've got road games at the end of the season at Kansas State, at Iowa State. Those are going to be pretty tough coming down the stretch. But if you can build some momentum early, get to 6-7 wins, I think that would be seen as significant progress from where they were a season ago.
Chad, what is the vibe around Scott Satterfield in Cincinnati with the fans? Have they embraced him yet, or is that going to take a little more time and some more wins?
It's going to take some wins. You guys know, man, Luke Fickell is considered the greatest coach in UC history, right? If not, right up there with Brian Kelly. And, Butch Jones went through some of this too following Brian Kelly, where Butch Jones, shared 2 Big East championships, and fans still kind of gave him a hard time because he wasn't Brian Kelly. So Satterfield's got a little bit of an uphill climb, but winning generally can take the heat off of you. They're just in a much different and much more difficult situation to pile up those wins, to get the fan base some of those concerns, having them alleviated. So, the time is ticking. Unfortunately, that's the way college sports is right now. I think it's unfortunate because I think we're probably seeing a lot of good coaches get fired before they really have a chance to hit their stride. But winning is the name of the game now, gentlemen.
Yep. A lot of money, man. There's so much money.
Yep.
So, Chad, my question with the new Big 12 again, 8 of the 16 teams are brand new. West Virginia and TCU, of course, came in back about 12 or 13 years ago, but it is filled with newcomers from when Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, and BYU, and now the others. What are a couple of things that you are interested in seeing how it all falls, how it all kind of happens this year?
I think the evolution of offense in this conference is fascinating to me because, when Cincinnati was introduced into the Big 12, it was like air raid and, teams are throwing it all around and 50, 60 points. And then they get to the Big 12 and it's like, oh no, there's 7 of the top 10 running backs in the country or whatever. Corey Kiner's a 1,000-yard back. Is he he's not a top 5 back in the conference. And you're talking about a 4-star that started his career at LSU and moved back home. That's really fascinating to me. And then how do the defenses react to that? Because Iowa State, went to that 3-high safety, 3-3-5. And now it seems like teams are kind of going away from why Iowa State went to that defense that was so effective. So now are you going to have to get bigger again, bigger linebackers, bigger defensive linemen, bigger safeties, so that they're not, too light in the britches to defend the box. I mean, that really to me is fascinating about this conference. Seeing that ebb and flow of, okay, it's pass happy, the defense caught up, now the offense adjusts. What does the defense do? I think that's the really fun part about this league this year, because I think there's going to be, probably 4 top 10 rushing attacks in this conference. When you look at Central Florida will be there. Gus Malzahn runs the ball. Cincinnati will probably be there. West Virginia will probably be there. And then Oklahoma State has the best back in the country.
Yep. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah. I hiccuped with excitement thinking about all the run in the Big 12. But Chad, you also can throw in Kansas and Kansas State in there because they're probably going to run the ball a ton too.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen that Kansas offense. Like, that's a cheat code in NCAA 25, running that Kansas offense and just running all over people. You dread when you see your opponent comes up with Kansas. You're like, oh no.
How good are you? How good are you at the game, Chad? So far,
I don't have enough time to be really good at it.
There you go. Yep.
I have a 14-year-old daughter that's playing freshman volleyball, so I go to camp, and I don't know if you guys know this. UC goes away to camp. Like, they have a facility that's about 45, 50 minutes outside of Cincinnati that used to be a church retreat. And they have turned this church retreat into, there's a full-length football field. There's a 70 or 80-yard football field. There's a giant dining hall. They've built all these dorms and a bunk room. And it's incredible what UC does for camp. So I have to drive 50 minutes there, 50 minutes back, and tote my daughter back and forth to volleyball, and it's really, really affecting my ability to play college football 25.
The nerve of her to have extracurriculars.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The nerve of her to be 14 and not able to drive her own little rear end to volleyball practice.
My grandfather was driving at 11. And granted that was in 1932, and nobody cared, but still.
Yeah.
Look, the problem is, my wife grew up in New York, and I remember how my wife drove, and I'm terrified.
Oh, my God. Chad, love the segment with you every time, man. Really do. I'm glad the kids are doing well. You too. Thanks for your time. We'll be on with you again. We'll be back in touch.
All right, gentlemen. I always love talking to you. Thanks for having me on. Much appreciated.
So many good media analysts, writers, columnists, broadcasters we've gotten to know since the new 4 and now 8 teams have joined the Big 12, and Chad was one of them.
I'm looking forward to talking to him during basketball season, too. That Cincinnati basketball team's pretty darn good.
No question.
They're pretty good.
That was the first game, I believe, that I saw at the Foster Pavilion. Cincinnati came in. It was they got some big kids inside, and Baylor won the game eventually. I was also there when that triple overtime game against TCU, and eventually a few other games, but and they're good. They're really, really good. I always thought the guy's last name was like Skinner, that I didn't think got the ball enough. He was really, really good, and so there we are with that. One more note, somebody sent this to me on a direct message on Twitter about Noah Lyles. We don't know whether he's been tested positive. He said he is. Did anyone see him come out during the introductions?
I did not.
Jumping around like a kangaroo.
Yeah.
Like he did before the 100. Or the 200, excuse me. No, the 100. But, I mean, he had all the energy in the world. And if, in fact, he was, like, a little gassed or whatever, he could have saved a breath or two. Because, I mean, they sent me the video of him coming out. They got it off of Twitter. And, yeah, he was – and that's kind of pumping himself up. Some guys come out and they just stare and they are focused in a different way. But he was jumping up and down like a kangaroo all over the place prior to even the fact they got in the blocks.
He will forever be controversial because he's so confident and brash and cocky and talks crap and all those things. But I'm just glad he's on our side. That's all.
Yeah,
I mean, here's what I know about him. Even if there might be an excuse or one reason why he gets bronze or something like that, you're always going to get the best out of him. I mean, I think that's what needs to go down. Like, you have a lot of guys, and I don't want to pile on Josh Hamilton because he had a lot of problems, but at the ends of like Josh Hamilton's career, there was always the excuse for why he was doing bad. And it was never, I don't want to take the time like my peers do to fix this thing. You know, Josh Hamilton would not get in the cage and figure out what he's doing wrong. He would just try to swing himself out of a slump. Or I'm not playing well in the field because I've got blue eyes and I can't see during the sun. Well, put some sunglasses on. Like there's ways to deal with this. Like plenty of guys have done this for years. Noah Lyles, you're getting the best effort all the time. So you're going to get his best. So while you might not like the bravado, I will say this: you're going to get his best every time. Yeah, I just think that, and I understand. I don't like it when somebody drops a pass and then they start limping. I don't like it when a player gets beat for a touchdown and they start limping. That's me. Doesn't mean they're faking it, but it just seems to be kind of a bad look. So there we are. Thanks to Chad Brindell for being a part of this show today. All right, Garrett, we did this. Quincy Wilson. Now, have they already run that? The 16-year-old? The 4x4? No, it's coming up. It's got to be here quick. So the United States, they qualified to get there, obviously, but there's going to be some heats coming up in the 16-year-old. But I also read right before I left to get here that he did kind of come up a little bit gimpy, and I'm not sure if he's going to be the youngest athlete to ever compete in track and field. Because I say the youngest athlete, do you know that there's a 12-year-old female skateboarder? Yeah. Like women skateboarding are preteens who are competing in the Olympic Games. Yeah. So, and gymnasts, I mean, there's always been young gymnasts. Yeah, but I don't know if they've been, I don't know how, they're small. Like, Ball, you know that you would tower over Simone Biles. Yeah, I know. I'm surprised I didn't date more gymnasts. You ever seen that picture of Shaq and Simone Biles? Yes. It's ridiculous. Literally, it's almost like, how in the world? That would not be you. No. But you would tower over her by like about 7 or 8 inches. It is an amazing feeling when I meet somebody that's short. We had an intern named Nikki. You remember Nikki for a while. But Nikki's short. She's very short. She's a huge Rangers fan, crazy Rangers fan. And we'd occasionally go up to games. We'd see Nikki. She's at every Rangers game she can go to. And she's one of the few people in my life that I can be like, oh, hello. Yeah. How's it going? And it was such a feeling. Did it make you feel powerful? No, it just made me feel like it gave me a self-confidence I don't have in my normal life. And I want to know, what is your official height? 5'7". I'm 5'7". I want to be 5'8". We're going to have to do the measuring stick. Tape. Garrett, you're what, 6'1"? 6'4". Okay, that's my brother's size. Emery?
I'm 6 foot on a good day.
Jack's about what, 6'2", 3"?
He's about 6'2".
Yeah. But then if you cut his hair off, he'd be like 5'11", because he's got that big, huge mop of unbelievable, like I'm jealous of it. By the way, medal count for the Olympics right now. U.S., going to run away with the total, 103. We still lead China by 1, 30-29 in golds. But they have 73 total medals, but we have 103 total, which, if the host country thing holds, then we should maybe Salt Lake City? No, that's L.A. You said L.A.?
L.A.
Is Salt Lake City the 2032 Winter Games?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's it.
Roger Dodger has an interesting thing here. He thinks we should all do measurements for like a combine measurements and put them up.
No, I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that?
Why not?
Look at me.
Come on, have fun with
Absolutely
it.
Yeah,
not.
but the one I know, I would probably beat you in a lot of the agility things, which I should, because I always would. But you would kill me in the bench press.
Oh, I beat everybody in this room in the bench press, but I know that I don't want to just win one thing. Like if I can do one event, like Nandrasik does the pommel horse, that's fine. But I'm not, I
would like to see you do the broad jump.
Broad jump?
Or the 3-cone drill.
I might be better at jumping than most.
What is the one where they jump and they try to hit that little? That's
just like
the
your
vert?
Vertical. Yeah.
Yeah, that one I don't want to do.
Kim Coulter, great job, guys, destroying the stigma of being a Baylor show. Great national guest. Thank you, Kim. And it wasn't like it was something planned. Although I wanted to have some alpha. I got to stop saying that word. I wanted to get some of the blue bloods to check in this week, and we did.
Retired stockbroker says he'll take over for me in the vertical.
Okay.
No, look.
Retired stockbroker is an athlete.
You won't.
A former athlete.
I don't pretend that I'm athletic. I don't. I've had varying levels of fitness over the years, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm some kind of athlete and I don't want to be a meme. That's the thing I don't want to be. I was on local news doing improv comedy in the morning about 8 years ago, and something happened then when somebody threw something at me, and it was very awkward. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to be a meme. And thank God that Channel 10 didn't save it, because it could have been a meme.
I can always go ask them if they got it the day you were on.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been a meme. If somebody would have been smart enough, it would have been a meme. I'm just telling you, I can't even remember exactly what I did, but it was it was one of these stupid games that's called What Are You Doing?, where you do something and then somebody says, what are you doing? You say something it's not. It's a warm-up game. It's not a real thing, but it's what we decided to do. And whatever that was thrown at me, I was like, okay,
Boy, some of the things you get yourself into, like turning upside down on a beer keg.
That I'm not embarrassed about at all. Yeah. That was, again, we kind of recapped it the other day, Emery and Garrett and I. What the problem was there was beer, foam, and then beer. If it had just been foam at first, I'd be like, hey, hold on, we gotta stop this. But there was beer at first, so I swallowed, and then in that gulp, I took in so much foam. So
how do you know that wasn't something that I planned?
Maybe it was.
I paid him off.
Maybe it was. Just make sure.
Yeah, that was so disappointing.
I mean, I'm not allowed to do it again, so maybe next time I'll just you can put some beers out in front of me, and I'll just.
I tell you what we'll do. We're gonna do a bidet beer stand.
Oh, let's do that.
I'm not going there. I had more people text me and communicate with me that I dominated that segment.
You absolutely did not.
That doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just that I dominated the segment because I stayed very much. We're not going there again. I won. I'm not going to do it.
I will not be calm about it.
I'm not going to. It's not best of three.
I will not be calm about it because we've been lied to for too long, and I'm trying to stop the lies.
No, I had people texting me. I called and talked to one of our viewers. It was very nice of him. I appreciate he went back and watched the segment to make sure he had all the judges correct.
Yeah. No, you didn't. Listen, no.
I did.
You can, being wrong doesn't mean you won the segment. I won because I'm right and passionate about something I truly believe in, as where you're just being contradictory and making up falsehoods.
No, I don't do that because otherwise I'd work for ESPN or FS1 and do a debate show.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm passionate.
You all know that when they do those shows that Garrett could be topic A and believe in that. And I would be topic A1 and believe in that, but that they would want one of us to take the opposite.
Yeah, forceful. Yeah.
Just so. And I just don't believe in that. If it's a debate, it's a debate. You say what you think. You say what you feel. And you can't act like you don't. I don't. Okay, we got to take a break because Paul's top 5 just around the corner. Tomorrow, if he's healthy enough, Tim Brando, Ross Dellinger, Grayson Grunhafer, and there's another mega. I can't think of who it is. But this is 365 Sports.
Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center between Richland Drive and Valley Mills in Waco is where I get my cigars. 48-foot walk-in humidor with all of the great brands nationally and internationally, the best elite brands around the world. And how about this email from owner Josh Caldwell, who told me about a couple that drove in from Fort Worth to Waco purely based on listening and hearing me talk about Don Humidor. They have a pipe that's a bit of a family heirloom that needed to be repaired. They made the special trip to Don's after listening to 365 Sports, finding out we are one of the only shops left that can help them with the pipe. Not only are they going to fix the pipe, and they did, they also bought a new setup, complete with pipe, stand, and some sample tobaccos. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center, just between Richland Drive and Valley Mills in Waco. 48-foot walk-in humidor, great cigars, even what you need when it comes to smoking pipes and repair, and fresh coffee beans. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans with Cheyenne and Josh in the Town West Shopping Center between Richland Drive and Valley Mills in Waco.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels. Drive the all-new 2024 Grand Cherokee 4XE or Wrangler 4XE today. Lease payments start at just $589 a month or finance for 2.9% for 84 months. Experience legendary Jeep performance with cutting-edge hybrid technology. Hurry, only at Allen Samuels in Waco. See dealer for details.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texans are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
Welcome back into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Use promo code 365sports for 10% off. We continue with the top 25 defenses. We're in the top 10. We're in David Letterman territory right now with the top 10 list. So let's get to it. Number 10, Alabama. And Jack is not watching this right now, but I picked this GIF just for him because I knew how much of a fan he is of Rick and Morty. But most years, Alabama's defense is going to be ranked in the top 5. There's attrition there that they haven't had before. There's going to be a really good team. It'll be a really good team on defense, but they're not going to have the kind of depth that they had under Nick Saban, at least not for a little while, and maybe not ever again. Kalen DeBoer can have a great run at Alabama and never have that kind of depth. No coach in the country may ever have that kind of depth again because it was so singular to Nick Saban in his era and his time, but they'll still be really, really good. Number 9. Mizzou. Yes, they lost their defensive coordinator at LSU. LSU not on this list because we've got to see them do it and use Harold Perkins in the right way. But I don't think that Eli Drinkwitz is going to let this defense fall off. They retained most of their talent from the guys who didn't graduate. So this is a team that, again, will get after you on defense. And the SEC, trying to get back to their identity of being a defense-first league, although I don't know if that's been completely true outside of Georgia for the last couple of years. But I fully expect Mizzou to have the same kind of defense that they had a year ago. Number 8, Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish have a moderately tough schedule. They've got to play A&M and Florida State and USC, and they kind of avoid the bigger, like they don't have Ohio State, like those things they avoid this year. But Marcus Freeman, one of the best defensive minds in the country. Coaches, he's got some of the best defensive coaches in the country. They will be very, very good on this side of the ball this year. And I expect to see a lot of sacks from their defense and not much rushing yards given up. Number 7, Penn State. Penn State, we could put them probably at number 7 on this list every single year. That's pretty much where James Franklin has them. That's the attitude of his team. Now, that's not his problem. We can talk about how great their defense is, and their fans know it. Everyone knows that it's going to be tough to score points on Penn State. But it's also tough for Penn State to score points on teams that are ranked higher than them. They will score a bunch of points and keep everybody down, all the teams that are worse than them. But when it comes to teams that are better, that Penn State-West Virginia game, that looms large for both these teams. That's a great test to start the season. Both teams are better, in my opinion, than they were last year on both sides of the ball. So it should be a wild tilt to start out the year. And number 6, Iowa. Now, will they hold at number 6 with the new differences in the Big Ten? We'll see. But Phil Parker's run one of the best defenses in the country for a long time. I don't think that's going to stop. Now, will their games look a little bit different? Will they look kind of like the Big Ten championship game against Michigan last year that was, 35-3 or 35-0, whatever it was, where eventually you just can't hang when you got to play teams like Oregon and USC and Washington, and more of those teams come to your schedule and less Minnesota's and Purdue's? Yeah, probably. But still, I think they're going to be an elite defense and worthy of a top 10 ranking because if they're not, then Kirk Ferentz will physically disintegrate. He'll just, like the end of Infinity War and the Thanos snap, that's what will happen to Kirk Ferentz. That's going to do it for us right now, and then Smokey and I are going to wrap it up. This is the Top 5 on 365 Sports. And we're back.
Oh, hi. Paul's Top 5 is over, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go online. I've got the link up. 30 minutes ago, I was winning on my bid. And I know it's not, I just know what's going to happen here. So let me see here. Lot number 2, Wagyu sirloin cap steaks. $18 a pound, started off at like $10 or $12 a pound. It says I'm winning. And the clock is at 22 minutes and 30 seconds.
You shouldn't tell people. Coulter's about to undercut you.
Yeah, you should, yeah.
Oh, no, it's going to happen. It's what happened with the tomahawk ribeyes. So the Wagyu tomahawk ribeyes, these were some big dudes like the Vikings used to eat. And I got undercut in the last 5 minutes because we're wrapping up the show, and it's during the time when I'm on the air. Now, I see where it's 5:47. There's 22 minutes left. So they've already started kicking in that 2-minute deal. That's a little early for me. But you can go to TexasBeefHouse.com, bid on beef. It's not too late. My God, look at Paul. The Wagyu short ribs are beautiful. You can get those for $9 a pound. Now, you might
I'd like
have
to make some short rib ragu.
Oh, my God. Wagyu tri-tip with all the marbling that looks just fantastic. Angus roast. Wagyu roast. These are just some of the products, and we'll see what happens. And maybe I caught one of these auctions where it's not quite as it's busy. Like they said, there's no steaks. It's mainly tri-tip, brisket, hamburger patties, ground hamburger. Maybe I hit a good one. Have you ever had a sirloin cap steak?
No.
What is that?
I don't think so. I've had a sirloin, but I don't know about a cat.
Sirloin steak, because we had so many kids in our family. My mom and dad were busy. We had 5 kids. So there were 7 of us. So when it was a pretty good day and my dad would go cook steaks, he would always do sirloin steaks because it's a little less expensive, right?
That's what we get.
I broke that mold because I love ribeyes, and so I usually cook ribeyes. But New York strip, bacon wrap filet. But no, you're right, Garrett. If you're going to feed a large chunk, sirloin steak, if you cook it right, it's good. But I remember we used to have sirloin steak, so maybe I'm going to accidentally win something here with TexasBeefHouse.com. What was the other thing we were going to bring up?
Baylor's got a new quarterback.
Baylor has a new commitment. This is not a part of the class of 2025, but they've set themselves up for a quarterback that is committed with a class of 2026. Quinn Murphy from Argyle Liberty Christian, thrown for just over 5,000 yards in his high school career, and picked Baylor over some really good competition. So their recruiting run, which has been in the class of 2025, has been really, really good. This is the class of 2026, and Jake Spavital and the offense finding a commitment from Quinn Murphy, who's rated as a 4-star. Boy, that's a nice deal. Grayson all over that story and has been for such a long, long time. Let's see here. Bobby B, Smokey makes everything sound delicious. Thank you.
Hey, look, they've got
J.G. Neolardo.
Hamburger patties.
Worst nightmare is a burnt sirloin from McDonald's. No, you're not going to get one of those. What'd you say?
They've got I'm looking at this ground beef here. I'm a little curious about that. I've never had their ground beef before, and I've heard from people who have.
I remember we got that package, and I split it up with some of you guys, and I got the patties, and I cooked those for Craig. And there's a different taste to them. I mean, it really is. It's absolutely delicious. Barry Crawford, my wife and I split a tomahawk ribeye, and there's still some left over. It is usually about this thick, and it's about, it depends. And these ones, the ones that I was trying to buy, the last one in July, were, golly, I want to think they were, like, the combined were like 10 pounds or something like that. Maybe there were 4 of them, but they were really, really good. Char John from Matt Dolan. Shonsky in the chat room. Ferenc doesn't understand the RPO. Most teams are running the run-pass option. He's running the run-punt option. They got a new offensive coordinator, though, right now.
Who's that?
Iowa.
Oh, yeah, they do. We'll see on the run-punt option. Yeah, and they might still. Part of the thing with Kirk Ferentz is he's not going to go all of a sudden and start running the spread. Like, he's not going to do that. They need to be more effective in what they do.
I mean, do you really trust Cade McNamara, too?
I do.
I don't. I don't.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's also had injury problems, right?
Yes.
Last year, when he got hurt last year, it was one of the hardest hits I've ever seen a guy take. And then he got up and got off the field, but I remember thinking, like, there's no way he's coming back in this game. Like, it was... that was vicious.
Here's a question. Mark Quinton, little ironic for Smokey to bring up silver medalist not being remembered when probably the most memed Olympic athlete got silver and almost no one knows who won the gold.
Who's he talking about?
Yeah.
I am a pretty good historian when it comes to the Olympic Games. And I don't know who. Mark, if you're still in here, let me know who we're talking about.
Yeah, because right now, you're based on your point, we wouldn't know. So then we'd be right.
I'm trying to think, is it like track and field?
I've seen a
gymnast.
By the way, I've seen an old Jerry Seinfeld bit about the Olympics going around, which I think is really funny. And I suggest you look it up. But he said, it's amazing like how fast these guys are. He's like, the difference between the Olympics and it's just, he turns to the side and he's like, it's this.
Oh,
this
yeah.
and this. He's like, best in the world, national hero, just missed it, got the bronze, never heard of him. Like that's.
Yeah, Noah Lyles today will get more publicity than the young man from Botswana who won the 200 because he was the favorite, had not lost a 200 in 3 years, he didn't win the heat semifinal, I guess it was a day or two ago. And because of the fact that COVID and all that, that's the part, that's the part that disappoints me a little bit, is the fact that the guy from Botswana won't get enough credit, won't get enough attention.
I do think, though, that this Olympics overall has been a renaissance for the U.S. in sprint events. I mean, we're really, really doing well. I mean, it is funny, though. You see the finals of all these things, and it's all 3 Americans, all 3 Jamaicans, and then 2 other countries. Or 3 other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 Americans, 3 Jamaicans, and then whoever else got through the fog of all that. But both those, that's Australia's our swimming rival right now. Jamaica is our straight up and down track rival, and they're just so good. It is their national sport.
Yeah.
I mean, they absolutely love it there, and they've got so many fantastic athletes. But from what I see, there's a lot of cool people to watch. Rai Benjamin is hurdler.
Yep.
Awesome. Golly.
Yep. Nancy Kerrigan.
Oh.
Silver medalist.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I saw that, 3 or 4 people started putting her name up there. I saw somebody had put her name up earlier, but it was misspelled, like Carrington. Mm-hmm. Nancy Kerrigan, because of that, all the drama.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that she medaled.
She was a silver medalist, yeah.
Do you remember all that, Garrett?
I was little. I remember I got the Cliff Notes version of it in my head from seeing the highlights on
You know how big a story is that when you go to a Catholic middle school, they'll turn on the news so that we could find out about Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. That's how big that story was. In my classroom, Sister Catherine, a dyed-in-the-wool sports fan by far. She was just a crazy sports fan. God rest her soul. She was wonderful, but very, very tough nun. But she decided, look, I've got to keep up with this Nancy Kerrigan figure skating story. So she knew the times when the local news would pop on, and she would pop on and see, are we going to have breaking news? And this is before the internet is really a thing. She would leave the TV on and turn it to silent and wait for them to, bam, 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 bam.
Yep.
And then
that was ABC News. That was the stinger.
Ted Capel here.
Nancy Kerrigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
J.G. Nielardo said he ran a sub 111, under 11 seconds. Sub 11, 100. That's probably, I could see that. But then like we were talking about the other day, is what would you rather do? Be able to run fast in 100 or 200 meters one time that was super fast, to feel what that was like, or to be able to actually jump without a trampoline or a ladder or anything springy and actually dunk a basketball?
I would like to run fast. I do. I think as much as I've wanted to dunk a basketball, I think running fast would be more useful to me.
I used to be able to dunk, so I'd take running fast.
Kyle Visser, the entire track events has been a USA rebirth. No, they've had a good run, no question, in the track and field.
Yeah.
I saw a note that China wanted the American track and field athletes to be drug tested.
Yeah, okay. But not the Jamaicans and not Great Britain, all doing very well.
Did you see the Jamaican 4x100 team did not qualify for the finals? So that's a shock. First time in forever. All right, we got to go. Thank you very much for all of you in the chat room. Those of you who watch, a couple of the Twitter responses that I got today, we appreciate that. We're always welcome for that and would like it, appreciate it. The text lines, 254-339-1122. Emery Winters dialing up 365 Sports tonight at 10:30 on the CW. Garrett Ross, thank you, sir, for weaving in and out of what we had. Our guests, our sponsors, Jack McKenzie, too. I'm David Smoke for Paul Catalina. Craig is back Monday. We're back tomorrow, 3 to 6, right here on 365 Sports, and good night.